What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, our Monday evening show, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. We are now in December. It is Christmas season, and you're going to be shopping. You're going to be thinking about, what can I get the people in my life that I care about? What can I get them that says that I care about them, that says this is comfort, this is quality, that'll make them happy on Christmas morning, not just some, BS, whatever. Get them a Muskox flannel. I'm telling you right now, they will appreciate it. They will appreciate you. They will know you care about them. The quality, the durability, the comfort, the way they look. Their eyes will pop like mine do, especially when I wear a blue. Muskox flannels. Go to gomuskox.com, and you can use the promo code PEACOCK for $15 off your flannel purchase for Couch and the Rube listeners only. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Jason, do you think that Bill Beekman...
Go out there, play hard, stick your cleats so far up their asses that they've got to use the cleats to brush their teeth with.
Pound the bushes.
Let's go green, go God.
What's going on, buddy? How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You look a little lighter.
I am.
Did you lose some weight?
I lost a lot of weight. I lost
a couple
like
LBs?
7 pounds yesterday.
Oh, because of the Jonathan Smith firing? You were really sad and
It's just crying it all
decided
out.
to purge?
No. For people who don't know, today I had my first colonoscopy.
How could people not know?
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd it go?
It went well. Went as well as it could possibly go. I've never had anesthesia before or anything like that. And
Really? You've never had a surgery?
Never had a surgery. No.
Whoa, this was your first experience.
I am a durable guy. Never get injured, all that stuff.
Were you scared?
No, I wasn't scared. The only thing that was...
I mean, you really haven't heard of anyone dying in a colonoscopy, have you?
Correct. I didn't like having, the needle in the arm for the, all that stuff. But other than that, it was great. They were terrific. And, even had...
Damn, dude, you've never had a surgery.
Never.
Wow.
Never broken a bone. Never torn a ligament fully.
People say you're soft.
No, athlete here.
Yeah.
So,
calling the new coach in October. I mean, this guy's a fucking genius.
yeah. Only a little bit of a downside. And I wouldn't say it was a downside because she handled it professionally. But...
Your wife?
No, a woman that I've known since I was like 5 years old at my church, who I played softball against, was one of the nurses. And this is not like a surgery for like I broke a finger. This is for your ass, and
all the way up in there.
Yeah, and she was somebody I like looked up to, and and she was a couple years older than me when I was like in third grade. I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. And now here she is, like, here's my asshole.
I think she's probably seen it. But,
yeah, what do you
many assholes?
Yeah,
but yeah.
So there's that. So. That was a story almost worth telling, by the way.
That was really good.
Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. A great place for a Christmas company event, for a date night. It looks festive. It looks cozy. Come down to downtown Lansing, to Midtown Brewing Company. You'll love the menu. You'll love the vibe. You'll love the drink selection.
Can I set a scene, though? Can I ask a question?
Sure, yeah.
Because they do give you that drink the night before that you have to take.
Yeah.
And my wife had a colonoscopy, and she tells me, because she's trying to get me to do one. Well, I'm going to do one, but I don't know when it turned into 45, 46. I was told 50, and everybody just pressures you into it. I get it. I'll do it. But you take that drink. So were you on the bowl most of the night last night, tweeting and reporting?
It's not as bad as you think.
That's what I dreamed. Like, I was like, is Couch? I was asking Dominic, I'm like, do you think Couch is on the bowl right now, just tweeting and
It's not as bad as you think. I mean, it's not anywhere near as bad as you think. And I talked to some friends that sort of have that feeling. It's not like... You do want to be somewhere near a bathroom, but like because we had talked at one point about
the doctor wants to clean you out.
We had talked at one point about doing the show maybe Sunday night, and I was unsure of how that would work. If it would work, and we could have made it. Yeah. We could have made it work, but it worked out perfectly. Anyway, people don't want to hear about
There's a
this
trash can right next to the couch.
I'll be honest. Like, my father-in-law brought up this procedure once at a dinner. And
like the commercial. There's a commercial out now.
Yeah, exactly. So I know a lot of people don't want to hear about this because I remember
Did you get into like in-depth detail?
My wife was just like, "We got it. Really? Like, what is going on here? Let's get out.
There's
of
no
this."
need to go into details.
No details.
I guess
no details.
Here it was on the bowl. My God, sweating.
It was certainly poorly timed. I remember when I started to realize that this date matched up with when Jonathan Smith might be fired and a new coach was going to happen. I was like, "Oh God, this is not great." But it all worked out. The timing of it, I should say, not for Jonathan Smith, but for me. Jonathan Smith let go, obviously, Sunday by Michigan State. Good guy. And
body blows. It sounds like a lot of people, a lot of players are going to miss him.
I think he was somebody people liked playing for. Look, Jonathan Smith, this, I think, probably had to happen. I think we all could agree on that based on the way the season had gone, the trajectory of things, the lack of enthusiasm and momentum around the program. It probably had to happen. But I don't think Jonathan Smith is not somebody where you go, that guy just can't lead a program. That guy shouldn't be a head coach. It did not work out at Michigan State. It turned out not to be a fit. But he had done it somewhere else, and I think if he does it again and he takes the right lessons from this, and he has better alignment within the university and the donors and all that stuff, I think it could work somewhere for him because I do think players will play for him. That's for sure. And
can I ask a question off the top here? Mm-hmm. How close, if you know, I don't know if you know this, how close was it to another year of Jonathan Smith? Were we close to another year?
I've heard conflicting things.
Because I will say, I think it was Fitzgerald or Smith comes back. Like that was the vibe I was getting.
Yeah, I think if
we were that close.
No, I've heard conflicting things. I don't think it was as close as some people thought. There were people who at the Maryland game were saying he's coming back.
Count him on one hand there.
I'm saying people like source type people would say, "Oh, I think he's coming back." But I had a sense they wanted to know. None of it made sense. Like sometimes you have to, even if your sourcing is iffy on something. And I wasn't sure. Like I don't think a lot of people knew 100% what was going to happen and when for a while. They knew at some point, there was a possibility he was going to go. But you have to sort of trust your instincts and the logic of what's happening. If Jay Batt wanted to bring him back, if Michigan State was going to bring him back, there was plenty of opportunity to say he was coming back. And that would help solidify a recruiting class. Players would understand what was happening. Fans might be really upset, but they would at least have a direction of what was happening and they would be in the know. There is no reason not to do that earlier if you were going to bring him back. When you don't say anything, like I think there's value in not saying anything if you're not bringing him back because that team played hard through the end. It was not a mess. And they almost beat Iowa. And Iowa writers and fans are like celebrating 8-4, and they were worse.
They celebrate punts.
They were worse than Michigan State in like
listening.
12 areas in that game. I tell you what, Iowa hasn't made. What Iowa has that Michigan State fans do not get to enjoy is the lack of a Michigan, the lack of that behemoth down the road who tells you how you ought to feel a certain way. And so you get to sort of live in this this little Nirvana utopia. It's like, we're just 8-4, but we're as good as anybody around here. There's no pro sports, Nebraska's worse than us. Minnesota's worse than us. Like, that is a great way to live. They weren't much better than Michigan State, even though, they were for a lot of the season. Anyway, if you were going to do it, if you were going to bring him back, the opportunity was earlier. When they hadn't said anything, when he coached his last game and he's there and he's saying, when he's asked, have you been told you're coming back? And he says, don't have that.
Oh, my God.
It's a matter. There's no way he's not coming back. Logic tells you. Because the conversation the next day, if they say he's coming back, is what? Then why didn't you say it earlier? Why was it left to linger? It's not like this team did quit. It's not like a lot of things were going to change. So you kind of knew it. I just kind of had a sense of it.
Could they have made an announcement saying that he's not going to be back next year, but let him coach the season out?
I think
it's a little different than in the old Miss scenario, right? Like a guy coaching is he going to really take players with him? If
Pat Fitzgerald, who they're, from what I understand, they're finalizing everything with, and Pat Fitzgerald is going to be the next head coach at Michigan State. If Pat Fitzgerald was your plan, and I think dating back a little while, he was high on the list of people. Like the list was small, and he was one of the people. Once you're in that mode, and once you've got that sort of happening, there's no need. He's not coming from another job. That's the one advantage. There are disadvantages from not coming from another job. Like if you came from a really good mid-major program and you were able to bring 11 starters with you, or another high-major program and you were able to bring some guys, whatever. Yeah. There are disadvantages. The one advantage in the hiring process is you can fire a guy on Sunday and pretty much hire a guy on Sunday. And the transition is seamless. We're going to get into here whether
But isn't that the
Fitzgerald makes
scary
sense.
part about Pat Fitzgerald? He hasn't coached a game since 2022, and it's been out of it and coming in kind of cold. Like that is the one con as the pros and cons were being laid out.
Yeah, I don't find that to be a con. Like I don't know.
It has to.
As we get in our takes,
It's got to be a con.
There are no home run hires anymore. Very few. It's almost impossible to have a home run hire in this era of college sports. There are only hires that have a chance to be good. And this is one of them. It may or may not work out because there are reasons you can look at Pat Fitzgerald and you can look at his history and the wins and losses and what he did at Northwestern, and you can argue it both ways. And you can also point out, as he did on the College Game Day podcast with
Oh, my God. What a great podcast for him to do. That podcast made him money.
It did make him money.
My God. Everybody's been talking about this podcast.
It was well done, and he may have been coached into it, and it may have been, but he looked sharp. And as he talked there, he talked about, look, he was complimented on what he had done at Northwestern. He said, yeah, but the old ages are dead. There are no dinosaurs out there. Like his understanding that doesn't matter is important. But it's also, when you look at coaching, period, there are very few coaches you can look at and go, this person has succeeded for a while, regardless of what's around them in this era of college football. To me, it takes a lot of donor support regardless, and it takes, having, as Fitzgerald kept saying on that podcast, the alignment that he wanted. And that's a good word. It's a word that probably should have been used more about what Jonathan Smith didn't have throughout his time. So we don't know what will happen because he is coaching at a new type of place in a new era. And so where I think he's not hurt by not coaching is he talked about this being his sabbatical and, spending time with college programs and NFL programs and how things are run. And he talked in detail about the things he wants to do and what he thinks is important in why relationships are important in terms of tough conversations with kids about their actual value and how you build a roster and all that stuff. That's great. Now, whether he can execute it, I have no idea. I think as a fit, he's better than Jonathan Smith, obviously, because he's a guy who I think is at least a B plus, A minus communicator, probably better than that. He's somebody who can sell it himself and will invigorate people with that. He's somebody who will understand what the Michigan rivalry understands to Michigan State. Like he faced D'Antonio's MSU program 11 times in some huge games for Michigan State too. He's been around that. He gets what MSU football can look like and what that looks like when it's rolling. And again, different times, but he'll have a sense of things that Jonathan Smith didn't seem to grasp. And it doesn't mean a West Coast coach couldn't come in and do that. Jonathan Smith just didn't do that. And that was, part of his downfall. Like the Jonathan Smith downfall is twofold. It is 100% that he did not get a fair shake, that he did not have the proper support to make a run in this day and age. But that can be true, and then you also lost way too many of the games that were you had the talent to win, and you didn't handle you go back to the Michigan game a year ago, a game you had a chance to win, a game you were up early.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
The coaching, flubs there, and then the way it was handled, and just not quite understanding how much that game burns in people. That's something, your job as a coach. It'll be Pat Fitzgerald's job now, to whatever degree he doesn't already understand, to bring your ass up to speed and make sure you really can speak to that fan base that, ultimately you work for to some degree. You work for the school, but the program is owned by the fan base. And you could argue it's owned by top donors in certain ways too, but you have to, if Jonathan Smith, I think if Jonathan Smith had Pat Fitzgerald's personality and everything else was the same, he would be back next year. Because I think he could have sold it. Even the last game, and I thought he was great in a lot of ways in the way he handled certain things, Jonathan Smith, in terms of he wasn't combative, didn't throw players or coaches under the bus, answered things honestly, was understood his own faults to a degree, but he didn't sell himself ever. And I think if you're somebody who you think you have an opportunity to build a program still and you think you have some good things going, even on the last day, I asked him at the press conference down at Ford Field after they beat Maryland, make the case for yourself. And you
asked him that?
Yeah, and he kind of bounced around. It was fine. It wasn't, but it's just not his strength. Like, never did he say, look, this season hasn't been great. But
Thanks for waiting to ask me that now.
But tell me, well, I've asked it in certain ways to this point, but at certain points he could have just said, look, I get it. We're losing. This is not great, but I'm going to tell you how close we are here. This position group, like the offensive line, we got some young guys. I'm going to tell you by next year they're going to be really good. I'm going to tell you, quarterback, we think we've got something. We've got this. Guys are growing. It takes that third year, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to see it. If he had said that to people, it would have been harder to get rid of him. Just never was able to sell himself to that degree. That's the stuff I think Pat Fitzgerald will be able to do, because this might be another year or two. Now we'll see what the resources he has. One of the things he talked about in that podcast with Pete Thamel and Reese Davis was understanding that rev sharing gets you to zero, right? That allows you to basically be where everybody else is. The separator is the NIL you're able to create beyond it. And just saying that out loud, I think, is important. That's saying that's what he believes and that's what he knows. And then he talked about, it's not just, the roster building and the retention and the development is critical. And then I thought it was interesting. He talked about the reason relationships were important. It wasn't just now that you had a guy forever that you went to their living room and they were, but it was more that when you had to have difficult conversations, when you said, when they wanted to be paid this, and you said, well, actually, you're not yet that player. We think you fit here, and this is where you are on the pie. You can have that conversations. They may say F you and walk away and go to a different program. That's their right, but you have a chance to keep them and have those conversations. Look, he'll have a lot to prove. He's going to have some stuff to answer for. There are people who are very unhappy that somebody who was mixed up in the hazing allegations at Northwestern is
he sued them and won.
Yes.
So.
Yep, being no, but it's still his program, and he even said on that podcast that's why he took the 2-week suspension. Michigan State is on probation in part for a lack of oversight right now. Okay, so that you do have to come in and say, this is what I'm going to do different. This is where I learned from that. This is what I can't let happen again. You have to answer that at the bare minimum. By the same token,
we don't have enough time for all of that.
Yeah, we don't.
They would not have hired him if that investigation had gone differently. And I was asked today by somebody, but why it had taken, but why it had taken Mitch Albom actually.
He asked you a question.
He asked me a question.
Holy shit!
Yeah, that's the way
was
it
your
works
mind
here.
blown? Where you thought you were still under anesthesia?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I was. I actually slept through one interview I was supposed to do today. Set my alarm for AM instead of PM. Not great. But
was that Sheehan?
It was not. I would not sleep through Sheehan.
Probably run over to your house and pound on your door.
He asked me why it had taken a couple of years for him to get an opportunity, but without that decision, without that ruling, without the investigation being the findings being what they were, nobody was going to hire him, or at least not Michigan State was not going to be able to.
Mitch doing some investigative work.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So there you go.
Yeah. So this is was there anyone else in the running that because I know it. I will be honest with you. When I heard Fitzgerald was going to be the coach, I wasn't excited. I was open to it. Yeah. I was like, this is the hire Michigan State had to make, because I feel like they put themselves in this situation having to make this kind of hire. But when I see Bobby Chesney from James Madison going to UCLA, I feel like if Bobby Chesney was coming to Michigan State, I'd feel a lot more excited. And I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I'm open-minded to the Fitzgerald thing. I think it is a bigger issue than you think, that him not coaching since 2022 and missing out on a biggest part of college football being flipped on its tits. Like, to miss that time period and then to come in fresh to a program that it doesn't look great right now.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a lot of work to do. And he's going to have to get on that microphone and do some good things and make people entertained and give people some hope, which I think he'll do, and that's why it is a good hire. But I'm just being honest with you. I would have been more excited about it, Bobby Chesney from James Madison, kind of the whole Signetti kind of coaching tree kind of thing.
Or a Jason Eck from New Mexico. People who liked him. Yep.
Because that's the way college football feels it's going to be. And watching Lane Kiffin and this buffoonery that's going on in Ole Miss and LSU, and we can get into that later. And I can't believe ESPN people are defending Lane and think that he should coach Ole Miss. Just everything is crazy. So when you see a guy that was at Northwestern and did great things, but again, that was in a different era. It was a different era of college football. Still impressive what he did there. The guy won Coach of the Year twice, right? So I think it's the hire that Michigan State had to make. But for me personally, as a 46-year-old fan who didn't go to Michigan State, by the way, but still following this program, I still like Michigan State, root for them. When I first heard it, I wasn't excited. But as it goes, the days roll over, and I'm sure you're going to start getting me, excited about it, and I'll fall for it again. But just my initial thought process when I was told.
Yeah, I just sort of, and wrote this in the quick takes, I had to sort of check myself a little bit. I like Pat Fitzgerald. And
we know. You called it. I'm surprised you didn't write a whole column blowing yourself. Here's what Graham Couch got right. Column by Graham Couch.
Yeah. I've always,
one of your better takes. I mean, you knocked it out of the park. What can you say?
He doesn't look through people. That's my big thing. Yeah. I've always liked conversations with him, and so but I also was aware of that bias. Right. As I started hearing this could happen, a few weeks ago, in terms of this was a guy that maybe donors liked that would be on the radar. I had to remind myself, like, it doesn't mean this works. He still did not win a lot at the end of Northwestern. He still has been out of the game. He had some offenses at Northwestern that were not fun to watch, right? I will be very curious to see who he hires. And he talked about on that podcast having this, he held up a couple of sheets of like lots of guys that he's going to look at, and he's been talking to a lot of different programs. This will be interesting. He said he was on a sabbatical. He learned a lot. Well, let's see how it plays out. Let's see what he's able to do with it. I'm not going to sell you on Pat Fitzgerald being a home run hire because I don't believe that exists. I believe you got to have a lot of other things. I think there are probably, 50 guys out there who could come in and with the right support, do really well.
But what do you mean by that? How much money are we talking? Like, is Fitzgerald going to be working with here? Because that's the big question. Everybody wants to know. Obviously, they're going to give him the tools to succeed, I think.
He'll have
what does that mean?
You're right. I don't know.
Numbers-wise.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everybody's talking about there is going to be, I don't think it's a secret at this point, there is a donation coming of sizable amounts. And
Mr. Hios?
Pound the bushes.
Thanks, Jim.
It's not for Mr. Hios. That I think could happen as early as this week. But, like, that is not just, like, here.
Everything's so secretive.
That's not just that. Well, part of it is, like, you get certain information that you can't entirely share. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It sucks. Sure. It's the business. It is what it is. If I was better at my job, I could tell you exactly what was coming.
I think you're pretty good at it, though. You're not saying anything. I mean,
yeah. So again, he talked about real NIL, which keeps being used, and I think makes people nervous. Like, what does real NIL mean? And you have to create. If you're creating real NIL, is this, the collectives are over and you can't just pay players offhand? Like, how do you, is the rev share what you do to recruit and initially, get your roster where it needs to be, and you build some sort of real NIL through different, media partnerships and things that are a little more stable? We're not talking, when I think one thing that people do get concerned about that's important to note, we're not talking about the Jolly Pumpkin having a situation with the offensive linemen at Michigan State anymore, where they have free meals. That's not NIL today. Now, they may still do that. I'm not saying that's not.
Students will laugh at that. These player athletes,
but that you're talking about bigger media rights things, bigger things. Where walked in the Breslin Center a few weeks ago, and I'm forgetting who it was now, but there was some company there to do a shoot with Jeremy Fears. I think it was, or Cohen Carr with somebody. But the point being, like,
both.
You see, it's a different level, and so you can use that to help entice. And
what does Cohen Carr drive?
I don't know. It's a good question.
These guys are just like living the life. This must be amazing. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So eventful day.
When will we know? What's the timeline for the staff? All this other stuff.
Well,
he's coming in tomorrow. He's going to give the speech, right?
What gets interesting is
on his birthday, by the way,
51st birthday. Yeah. Still a young guy, and I think one of the other things,
and that's the other pros too. How young he is, and he does have that chip on his shoulder where he doesn't. I think that lawsuit, being fired and everything, put a big chip on his shoulder. Again, it's just the being away from how crazy college football is.
And unlike Nick Saban, Mel Tucker, Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin, he is unlikely to be enticed by LSU. He's not a climber. He spent a long time at Northwestern, and I'm not saying something else couldn't come along. I'm not saying he couldn't have 6 great years at Michigan State and decide he wanted to be in the NFL or something else. But like,
we can deal with that when it comes.
If you get to that point, you're thrilled. Right, exactly. Maybe at that point, people will finally get their max.
Lane Kiffin has made more money for not winning a national championship I've ever seen in my life. Like, where does LSU get this money?
Well,
what's their whole big? Where their donors getting all this money from? They're paying Brian Kelly. They're paying Lane Kiffin. If Ole Miss makes the college, or they go into the college football playoff, and he still will get the Lane Kiffin, that is, the monetary bonuses. If Ole Miss wins games in the college football playoff, I mean, they're just shitting money away. They paid how much for Brian Kelly to go away?
This is
amazing.
But this is what happens when you live in a state that does not care about men's basketball. So they eat, breathe.
Well, when Izzo retires, we can talk. Yeah. I think
they probably don't fund a lot of services all that well down in Louisiana either. Like, it's all right, we got to fund Brian Kelly and pay that out and get the new guy. So who knows? But yeah, it's just a different culture down there, and it's it's hot, sweaty, it's gross. I don't know.
It really is. I do agree with you on New Orleans.
I don't.
It's just wow. I don't Louisiana.
I have zero desire to be down there. So we will talk about much more. This is going to be a doozy of a show. I am worried about Jason. I tried to edit the takes down, combine a few. If you had long ones, I just cut some of them because it was like, man, that's a lot. And I just worry about him.
It's all good, man.
But do we have some other stuff to get into before we get there?
Of course. What you need? What? Yeah, we just have this little thing with the Detroit Lions going on here. Graham, I don't know if you're fucking paying attention to that at all. I know
I was.
You've been busy on a toilet and with Michigan State, but you have to explain the Frank Ragnow thing to me. I have never, dead inside Jason does not appear very often, but sometimes when I have too many MGs, he'll pop out and be like, hey, man, I'm still here, by the way. So I know that he's inside of here somewhere, and I feel that way with this Ragnow situation. Regardless, I mean, getting your ass kicked by the Packers at home on Thanksgiving, the Ragnow situation actually had more wear and tear on me because of I just don't understand the communication level with the Detroit Lions. Is Rod Wood our doctor? Like, who is doing – how do you make an announcement on all social media platforms that Frank Ragnow's back? Frank Ragnow's – yes, fuck yeah. Talking shit. Yeah, Frank Ragnow's back. We just got to get through these next 2 games. We're going to get Frank back. And then all of a sudden you go on what was it? On the 26th? On the 29th. The re-retirement, the failed physical. He went to a physical and had a great, by the way, can we just lie and say that he had like a blown off kneecap or something? Like a grade 3 hamstring strain, which I guess, like, looking into it is really, it is a terrible injury and painful. But I don't understand what Frank was fishing and hunting all of these past whatever months and not playing football to all of a sudden they just announced that he's going to be gone forever.
And how did he not know that he had this grade 3
because
hamstring?
Dan Campbell said because he's, the pain tolerance and Frank is one of the toughest SOBs. Like, stop it. Stop. I feel like they're talking to us like we're absolutely stupid. And most of us are, like myself, and I understand that. You can get away with it for a while, but I'm starting to fight back on some of these things of like, stop doing this shit to me. Why do you guys have to do, Brad Holmes and how stubborn he has been. And by the way, it is week after week after week, defending Brad Holmes. It's starting to turn a little bit to where people are starting to get fed up because we need bodies. I mean, especially with Terry and Arnold today, Kirby Joseph. I mean, I've heard rumors of Kirby Joseph is going to retire. And who knows that, it's just, but the Ragnow situation, I don't understand. Why not let rumors swirl and then all of a sudden get him in to do the, get the physical, like, you know what I mean? Before you make a big grand announcement. And by the way, did Frank Ragnow have no idea? He's like, I just got a little hamstring.
Yeah, that's what's amazing. I understand pain tolerance. It's one thing not to understand. You played sports all your life. You should know.
Grade 3 hamstring, a full rupture of the hamstring muscle or tendon. Like, dude, come on. I don't care how tough you are. You'd be like, it doesn't look good, boys.
Can I give you a spin zone?
Oh, yeah. Let me get you. Hold on.
Caution. You are about to enter the spin zone with noted newspaper columnist and radio host, Graham Couch.
All right. This is where Lions fans are going to be able to enjoy parts of the end of the season maybe and have a little bit of freedom and an exhale. We are reaching a point with the Lions where we just sort of understand this isn't their year, right? This isn't like that doesn't mean the window's closed. It just means some things have gone wrong here. They need to reset a couple things. This isn't great. They're not going to have home field. They're going to be lucky to get in the playoffs. They're going to have to play a lot on the road if they get into the playoffs at all. And it's not an ideal situation. It's not. And so once you come to accept that this isn't great, that doesn't mean things are over, this year just isn't gone well, there's an exhale and there's a freedom to it, and then you can enjoy them taking their shot. I still wouldn't want to play the Detroit Lions in the playoffs, especially a team that with nothing to lose that people have sort of written off. Then you can sort of enjoy it from that perspective. I think that's the way to start looking at it, because you're right. All the ideas of who they could have been, the 15 look, it is frustrating. The 15-2 year didn't result in a Super Bowl appearance. The year they had the big lead in the NFC Championship, the year before that, didn't result in the Super Bowl appearances. Those things suck. There's no way around it. This year is not looking like those years, and so the only way, but I would say take some comfort in this. Isn't people talk about the window closing? We talked about before this season. We thought we didn't know what the window was, but we thought these next 2 years were a great window for them. And nothing to me has changed about these next 2 years. Now, are they going to have to add help on the offensive line? Yeah, they're going to have to add some pieces, but they do have an offseason for that, and they have a lot of good parts. This year sucked. Doesn't mean the window's closed, and doesn't mean they can't still be a pain in the ass down the stretch, and we can look at it from that.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think the playoff window, you mentioned playoff window. I know Super Bowl window is what's discussed, but the playoff window for this year, it's going to be closed because this team has to go 4-1 in the last 5, and I don't know. I just don't see it. With the Giants game and the Packers game, anyone with a defensive line can get pressure on our guys. We just are running out of bodies.
They got to beat the Cowboys,
Wright, for God's sake, is on IR now. So I don't know. They're not going to. How are they going to beat the Cowboys? Terry and Arnold's out. We have no defensive backs. I don't know. I think the reason why this playoff window / Super Bowl window's closing is because of Brad Holmes. And we have to start talking about it out loud, that Brad Holmes might be the reason why this is closing, and the stubbornness and not bringing in players when you need bodies. You cannot win an NFL fucking Super Bowl and just sit there and go, next man up. I'm sick of the next man up thing. I'm all down with the grit, and these guys are biting fucking kneecaps, but we're sick and tired of watching Hutchinson get double-teamed, and he hasn't been playing great. I understand that. But you got to give this guy some help before we can start critiquing him at a level that we're critiquing him. I understand he's making more money than Myles Garrett. It's unfortunate. I know Myles Garrett is a really hell of a player, and Hutch is not on his level. But you got to get Hutch some sort of help on the other side and stop being so fucking stubborn with these retread guys and Marcus Davenport that we have to sit through injuries and IRs and all that stuff, Brad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving up on this season. I hope they make me eat crow and they make the playoffs somehow. But if you're asking me right now, I don't think they make the playoffs. I don't see how. I don't see how this team currently constructed, as we sit here today on Monday night, on Thursday, I don't see them beating Dallas. I don't see them.
I see them beating Pittsburgh. I think they
could
beat
see that
Minnesota.
because Aaron Rodgers, but they're a shit show.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just, I mean, you know.
I think they've got to beat Dallas because you're right. Somewhere else they might slip up. They lose to Dallas. It's the Wayne Fonts type stuff where you got to win all these games at the end.
I mean, their defensive line.
And to your point too, I think it also, this is a great example, and they got to Dan Campbell's got to look at himself. This offensive play calling stuff is messed with his ability to manage a game and make decisions, and it hasn't worked. And this is, if you're looking for an argument for Pat Fitzgerald being away and where that could help in this time where things are changing quickly in college athletics. Sometimes not being in it and being able to look at it from a 10,000-foot view and talk to people and look at different evaluations and have people share with you what they're doing, not feeling threatened and all that sort of stuff can be helpful. I think that Dan Campbell is an awesome NFL coach. I think we can all agree he's the best coach the Lions have ever had. Yep. But I think he has bitten off something that is more than he can chew here, and it's affected who he is as a coach elsewhere, and it's cost them on the field. And that's something they've got to look at because, again, this is the NFL. The margins are tiny. I just lost a bet yesterday on the freaking L.A. Rams. Why? Because Carolina shows up and acts like an asshole.
Well, Stafford threw a pick six.
Yeah, whatever.
Some turnovers, but
still, it's a shitty sport. So, but
yeah, you also lose Ben Johnson to a division rival. And by the way, it's fantastic being in the same house as a Bears fan. I'm just so excited. And my father-in-law, who lives in Illinois, he's a diehard Bears fan, decided to text me on Saturday right after the Ragnow news to ask me who I thought. He goes, "Hi, who you taking on the Bears-Packers game?" Just randomly. That was just the question.
All right.
I don't watch football.
All right, I got one. I got one more before we get to the listener takes, if that works for you.
Yeah.
Michigan State basketball. I was down in Fort Myers last week, which, by the way, not to rub it in, but man, that was nice. Like 85 degrees,
right,
poolside on the ocean.
This motherfucker.
It's amazing. I was
balls on this guy.
Yeah, sun tanning with Kevin Guskowitz was a couple
Gussie.
chairs down. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Jonathan Smith's a good guy. You had to get that whole presser out there, right?
it was.
Good on Gus.
I have been as somebody who watched the UConn game and had some major concerns, and thought it was early. The UConn exhibition, obviously, for Michigan State, where it did not go well, and then watched the early games. I have not seen a team grow this well, this fast into a season. I'm trying to think of a Michigan State team that wasn't like either there already, and we've seen that with like the 2013-14 team, Denzel Valentine's senior year. Like those teams started off the ground running, right? We've seen that before. But to watch this team sort of find itself at the level it has and find its identity and figure out how it's going to counter adversity. And I thought that's what the North Carolina game did. They didn't really face adversity against Kentucky. So you beat a big brand. Kentucky looked like crap. And Michigan State had something to do with that. Still an impressive win at Madison Square Garden. This one was different. And I'm not saying North Carolina is – I think UConn's a better team. I think UConn's the best team they faced. And that at least will be the case until they play Duke on Saturday. But North Carolina is going to be a player. And they've got – Caleb Wilson is the best player I think Michigan State's seen this year, that freshman forward.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, he's phenomenal. And the way they kind of got a handle on him, and the way when they got down 22-15, I think it was, or whatever, they sort of figured things out. And where are they going to get buckets when they're not coming? And then they got, there's a Kohler three-pointer. We've talked about what a weapon that becomes. And, then Fears, the mid-range stuff, hitting big shots, really Cleves-esque early in Cleves' career, the way he used to carry them even when he wasn't necessarily a great shooter. And I think that Fears is a better shooter than Cooper, playing at an all-time level of confidence high. I mean, there are still things about this team I think that are imperfect. I still do wonder, there will be games where it's not working. It's on the road, and they're going to need to, do they have a guy? They don't have a guy on their team whose best skill is just being a bucket getter. They don't have that guy. They have a lot of guys who can get buckets and have a lot of skill, and maybe that's enough. I still think they're going to need one of those two guards and somebody else they don't have to grow into being a star, Jace Richardson, but they got to grow into the role a little bit more if this team's ultimately going to contend for a title. But on a given day, I now believe this team can beat anybody on a given day. And that's ultimately in a single elimination tournament. And throughout the Big Ten, I think they're going to be a player. Now the Big Ten looks absolutely ferocious, but it's as promising as any start.
Did you mention Divine Ugochukwu?
He was terrific. And
I tell you what, he gives you confidence off the bench, though. That's what I like about him. I like his length. I'm a big fan of his, man.
And he's now
fun to watch.
I thought for a while, like if Jeremy Fears twists an ankle,
you know what, this guy.
I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. Like I thought they were going to need to ride Fears 36 minutes a game in big games, and I no longer think that. And I think that's.
Don't coach my team.
Yeah. That's important for him.
Coaching team, throwing injuries out.
Big week. Iowa's new coach Ben McCollum is sort of the Kurt Signetti, I think, of
that's right.
Big Ten basketball. Gone. Yeah, it's different, deliberate offense. Brought over a guard who was with him at Drake, and then at Northwest Missouri State, who is phenomenal. And he won 31 games at Drake last year. Won 4 national titles at the Division II level before that. You can see. I mean, he's a good coach. I think Iowa's got a chance to be top 6-7 team in a great Big Ten and can be a problem on any given night. You're going to have to play well. I think Michigan State's better than them. They'll be at home. They don't have to play them in Iowa City this year. But it is not and it's a Big Ten game. It's not an easy one, and you definitely aren't looking ahead to Duke, or you're going to be 0-1 in the Big Ten when you face Duke on Saturday. We'll have plenty more time to talk about that game and then react to the Iowa game later. You have anything else before
I do have one little thing here. Treese and I adopted a cat.
Whoa, Spot?
Not Spot. Oh. Norm, our cat Norm. Now, we didn't steal this cat. This is not a borrowed cat. We had someone left the cat in a driveway of our friend's house, and they were like keeping it in their barn, and so she kept hitting up T, and I was like, oh, I really like cats, so welcome Norm to the Nick Lostrocio house. After Norm McDonald, by the way. I've gotten Norm from Cheers a lot, and I understand that. We can do that. I like Norm from Cheers. George Wendt, rest in peace, but Norm MacDonald is why we named him Norm. So
I love.
We actually have a cat, Norm versus Spot. Maybe we could set up a play date or something. But
I don't know that Spot and Norm would. I mean, Spot is very territorial, so I worry about that.
I should probably talk with Norm first because I really don't know how he feels about other cats. But he was with another cat in this barn, which, by the way, it was brutal. But we can't adopt 2 cats. You know, it's one of those things. Like, you want to help so many animals, but by God, I was like, God, we can't.
You can't.
But I got home. I'm like, I was looking at Treese. I'm like, she's like, no, we're not getting 2 cats. I'm like, all right. But welcome to the house, Norm.
Another story we're telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. They do not like you bringing your cats to the restaurant, but it's a great place for people who are warm enough in life to adopt cats like Norm, or steal,
we're happy to have,
or steal cats like Spot. We're all welcome at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown.
Is the Spot's owner still good? Or?
We ran into Spot today. Spot came over for a little while. I don't know. It's cold out. Spot's coming in. F their owner. I just
F the owner.
I didn't mean it like that.
Wait. Why do you say F the owner? It sounds like you meant that a little bit.
Just like
they leave the cat because we were talking about with Norm. I don't want him left outside. Like I can't deal with that.
So Spot has a place to go at night. My thing is, if you want an indoor cat, have an indoor cat. Mm-hmm. When you allow a cat to become an outdoor cat, you lose control of that cat. And if that cat finds
so it's finders keepers.
No, we're not. We'd never let. Only once did Spot stay overnight. Only once. And that's
so. Wait. So Spot doesn't stay the night ever. You kick him out at night.
Yeah, he usually leaves on his own. He gets it. He knows he doesn't live with us.
Do you guys have a door, like a little?
No, we have to open the door. He has to. He paws at the door. He's there waiting. Yeah,
for real?
Yeah.
Does he fist bump you goodbye or something?
Pretty much.
Paw
yeah.
you?
Yeah, and when he doesn't want to leave, he just raises his little paw and he's like, "No, I'm not. I want more food. Or I want to hang out a little longer."
More animals, less people.
Yeah, it's a better.
Oh, that's great.
It is a better way
Still
to go.
A weird story with you guys, but
it is. Yeah, no, for sure. I wish we could get Spot a muskox. That's what I really wish. Spot and a muskox, Norm and a muskox. That is.
Talk to Brad Hoos.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Again, if you want to get the person in your life a muskox flannel this holiday season, go muskox.com and the promo code's Peacock for $15 off your muskox purchase. Some great offerings. I was just looking today how much I love my cinnamon grand flannel. It just blue, brown, eyes pop. It's just, I'm telling you, great stuff. Go muskox.com.
Sorry, 2 more things quickly. Teacups.org if you want any Couch in the Roof Christmas stuff, or my wife has a great website, teacups.org, that she makes custom-made stuff for the holidays if you guys want any of that. Also, the YouTube channel, I swear to God, I won't bother you guys with this, but if you could follow, do all that stuff for the show, it helps us out immensely. Again, I promise I won't bother you guys with it. All right, let's do this. All right, Eric Schultz up first. Number 1, Bat clearly identified Fitzgerald as someone of interest and went and got it done. While I'm not overjoyed by the pick, he clearly is a better fit than the disgrace we just fired. I trust Bat here. And 2, in 25 years, we'll look back at Smith the way my parents look at Muddy Waters. So glad he's gone. Oh man. 3, I've said I didn't get why Izzo recruited Kohler. I thought he was at best Nick Ward light. Good in the post, but a below average defender and rebounder. I was dead wrong. He's so much more than that I ever would have expected. The kid is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and what's interesting about Jackson Kohler is I think he's different than what they anticipated when they recruited him. I think he's not been quite the scorer in the post they thought maybe he would develop into. And you see the moves, but he just hasn't had the consistency yet. Maybe that comes with his senior year. I do not think they anticipated him becoming an elite college rebounder. And the defender he's been as well. There is an intensity to him that I think is beyond what they knew was going to be there. The outside shot, I'm thinking they probably thought was something skill-wise might come around. And he is, to this point, Jason, his numbers on the year, quite a bit better than like Kenny Goins and A.J. Granger were at this point in their senior years. And we look at those guys as like these, they put them on a pedestal for like stretch fours in MSU history.
He's a bull in a china closet.
Joey Hauser was the only person, a better senior year, who had a better start from 3 at sort of at that position.
Dominic next. Number 1, Graham, I don't appreciate being ignored. This is as a lazy Sunday without anything going on. Do better, goddammit. 2, I'm bullish on this hire. He's passionate. He knows the landscape. He told U of M to fuck off twice. I assume the donors are prepared to spend with him and were involved in the process. Imagine not including them and just relying on a fellow Sexton alumnus to carry your water. And 3, pause for Graham's tired-ass Bradley Beal joke.
Well, he did trade for Bradley Beal. By the way, in terms of sound bites and hits, we are now in December for Hoff. Is Feliz Navidad. Awesome. So excited. I've been thinking about it all day. But I was like, when I was drifting off to sleep with the anesthesia, I'm just thinking about like Feliz Navidad Hoff. I was very excited. Yeah. To your point on Fitzgerald and donors, not being all in. And I get it. That's part of the game. And Haller misjudged that. There's no question about it. I have certain feelings like it would have been interesting if he had won 2 more games this year, because I do think, as I look at it now, if they had beaten Iowa and Minnesota, even late in the year, okay, so they won 3 of their last 4, beat Iowa as a really good team on the road, Minnesota, in both those games they probably should have won, and then beat Maryland, and they're going to a bowl game at 6-6. I do think he's coming back. And there was a while where I wasn't sure that was the case. And I do wonder what that pitch would have been in that cell, and that would have been the challenge for J-Bat, then to be with those donors and say, and I think he's pretty good at this, but we need you here. Like, we need you to be on board here to give this guy a chance. And you could see it in the statements from Bat and from Kevin Guskowitz. Basically said, we didn't do enough to support this guy. He didn't do enough winning, but this wasn't all on him. I mean, he's calling out their whole operation, right? And the donor base there. And so that's. But
when I think of Haller and Smith, and like when Haller and Smith met for the first time, I'm so interested, like, what was the meeting? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like you could just tell right away whether or not Smith is your guy. After all the press conferences we've seen in the post-game, pre-game interviews with Smith, what did Haller see in that to where it was going to work? Well, I mean, again, I get it. Smith is a nice guy, football guy, blah, blah, blah. But just to lead your program, I just don't know what was the presentation he gave.
Well, you built the program in a hard place to win. And I think, you're right. In terms of being an orator and somebody who can really sell himself, that was not his strength. And maybe Haller should have seen that and known that was needed. But I ultimately, if he had won, if Jonathan Smith had won, we would look at him differently. Like, not everybody has.
Won what, though?
Well,
say the scenario you just gave me didn't get me excited.
Let me give you a scenario that's realistic in some degree. And pick either the Rutgers game at the end of the year, although Rutgers is pretty good. That could even go. But say they go 6-6 last year and beat Michigan in that game that they were ahead, and that goes differently. And then this year they don't screw up Nebraska. And again, they screwed all these games up. That's why he was fired. But these are winnable games. Say they won the winnable games this year, and they're 8-4. Which was possible because the Big Ten sucks largely. I mean, Iowa's jumping around because it beat Michigan State, which might not have won the MAC, and it should have been. I mean, anyway, they could.
That's what they do, though. There,
it's fine.
I don't want to be like them.
But say they had gone 6-6 a year ago, beat Michigan, even losing to Michigan this year, gotten to 8-4, and it felt like there was momentum and a trajectory, and they won the close games they were supposed to look. I think people would look at him differently, and it's been brought up, several times on this show. The Nightingale comparison. And Nightingale, I think, is a better communicator in some ways than Jonathan Smith. But he's also not an emotional guy. I don't think you have to be an emotional guy. I don't think that would have been the issue if there had been progress. There might have been people who were all out on him. There may have been donors that
you have to show emotion, though. You don't have to be emotional. You have to show. I don't know what. I am interested to see where Jonathan Smith lands. I want to see where he goes.
And I think the bigger issue for him was, and this was a Haller issue too. But when you when you're in the room with the top donors, there wasn't a presence to him, and that sometimes does matter. It matters in a day and age where you've got to raise funds, and it doesn't have to be you, but it's got to be somebody. And maybe it could have worked if he was winning, and people kind of started to appreciate that and knew that he was a soft-spoken guy in certain ways, or was a little bit socially awkward. And you had Bat who could handle the other. Maybe it could have worked as a tandem. It didn't. He didn't win enough. He didn't win the games they were capable of winning. Nebraska is the worst offensive line I saw in the Big Ten this year, and they blew that game. Right? UCLA was the one game they didn't show up for at home, and that sort of led to all this stuff. Minnesota, they had an absolute chance. That team was not that good. Iowa offensively somehow can't do it. Look, they do a lot of things consistently well there. But it's pretty amazing that it hasn't happened over time. At one point, you'd think they'd find an electrifying offense, right? It's frustrating to watch because they've had these defenses that nearly beat Indiana, like you're in the game. Sorry, I don't want to talk about Iowa here. I get very frustrated watching Iowa. Anyway.
I can understand it. I would think their fan base would at some point. But Kirk Ferentz is a god, apparently, if you know ball. Nick Montes. Oh, what's up, Nick? As a Northwestern alum, I'm excited to see what MSU football can become under Coach Fitz. But was this too quick of a choice? Curious what you guys think of this. Maybe it's just me reminiscing on how many days we were at the airport waiting for a jet to land with Mel Tucker.
So I'm going to answer this despite Nick being a MSU Medill journalism alum.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I don't usually.
Sorry, Nick. It's going to be a dick to you.
The group that's banned from this podcast. But the despite that, as a proud Columbia College Chicago graduate, I'm curious too. And I'm curious in a good way. Like, there could have been – I would have been curious about a number of hires. We've talked about some of the other names. There could have been other people that you went, well, that's interesting. We'll see how that goes. I think this is interesting. I think this has a chance. I think it has a chance to be a fit. I'm very curious to see who he brings in with his staff. And, we did not get the Mel Tucker run to the airplane. That was – I still have a great memory of
what kind of shoes was he wearing, right? That was the whole bit.
Colton Pouncey just biting it, racing from one end of the airport to the other because we're at the wrong end. It's great.
How stupid.
It was amazing. Amazing time.
Number 1, Pat Fitzgerald is the perfect cultural fit for MSU. And 2, people were starting to get really frustrated with Jay Batt, but I think he may have played a masterclass. Had Fitz lined up. News of major donor support to be announced, and the 2026 class is coming out with the pledge confirmations.
Yeah, there are some people saying that they're sticking with it, and so which means he's making calls and trying. I mean, the timing of the timing of the signing day is ridiculous. I understand college football has all sorts of issues with the calendar because of semesters, right? You just can't get around these pesky semesters in school and all that stuff. But the fact that signing day for freshmen is like right now at the end of seasons before the college football conference championship games. I mean, it just makes zero sense whatsoever. And I understand kids can wait till February to sign. I would put the whole thing in February again. I just don't think it. I don't think it makes any sense now. It forces kids to make lots of decisions really quickly, and they might feel like they're getting left out if they. I want the most amount of kids to make the best decisions for them. And one of the things I like about the new rule where the transfer portal doesn't open up for a place like Michigan State until 5 days after the new coach is announced. And maybe that's why they haven't announced him yet, because technically that would be the case. But I like that gives kids a chance to meet with the new coach and sort of figure it out and make the best decision for them. This does not do it for high school kids. I don't get it.
Let me ask you a question outside of that while I'm thinking of it. Why did Michigan State name Rossi like an interim coach for like 8 hours? What was that about?
I think you technically want to have somebody in charge of the program, and it could take a day or so. Like you have to have somebody who's handling like just the administrative stuff. Yeah, well, no, you're talking to players. Players have questions. You need somebody who's in charge, and it also. You're doing Rossi a favor in a sense, and this rarely leads to anything, but it is something where you are the interim coach. You were an interim head coach. You were a head coach very briefly. I know other people who've played this role. Rarely does it lead to anything else, but it doesn't hurt.
Well, you need to do it for more than 7 hours, I think.
Well, but you do it for a couple of days. That's the way it often goes. But it's again, and Rossi may be somebody. I don't know in terms of hiring a coach. Pat Fitzgerald or assistant coaches. Pat Fitzgerald is a defensive guy, so he may have his own set of thoughts there. Whereas Jonathan Smith was an offensive guy, he brought in an outside defensive guy in Rossi. But I guarantee there'll be a conversation between the two at least.
Rich Searing. Number 1, the Big Ten has the best conference in basketball this year. And 2, whoever gets hired to be our next football coach will have a big uphill battle digging us out of this hole. And 3, Fears will graduate as one of the greatest point guards in program history.
He's got a chance to be the next great one. We'll see how long what he does this year. I mean, and the great ones have taken MSU to Final Fours usually, or they've had just stellar,
it's a must.
stellar. Because even the Valentine year, which ended with the first round defeat, was just. I mean, he was a first-team All-American. He was 19-7-7, and the year before he'd taken them to a Final Four. So that and then Cassius obviously, but yeah, no, he has a chance to because you just the way he.
I think you have to win a championship though to get into the. I know Cassius didn't, but
Scott Skiles didn't. And Scott Skiles is on that pantheon in that top group.
But he does get left out here and there though. When you talk about the top, I mean, not in my list, but
Sean Respert. Yeah, I mean, in the Izzo era, certainly it helps. You look at Kalen Lucas and how much they won with him. And yeah, you're right.
I love Keith Appling, but,
let me ask you this. About it. The Big Ten is a lot better than it was in some of those other years. So say in this Big Ten where you have maybe 4 legitimate Final Four contenders this year, say you finish third in a really, really good loaded Big Ten of 18 teams now.
Yeah.
And you're a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament still, well thought of, and you get to another Elite Eight. That's probably not. I mean, the thing is, it can be somewhat individual. It depends what you're carrying and what it looks like. It's certainly if you get to a Final Four, I think that acts as that championship. That is that thing you do sort of. And then the other thing is how much. I mean, he's got 2 years potentially after this. How much more time will he spend at Michigan State? Like, he's not a guy who looks necessarily built for the NBA. To want him as a high draft pick, I think he's got a chance to play in the league. There are lots of guys who aren't necessarily starting point guards who, I think he'll have a good chance to play in the league. But when does he want to do that? Especially in an era where you can pay guys now. And I would be surprised, I guess, if he played 2 full years after this year, given the level he's already at. Like, you have your moment in college, and I feel like this is a big part of that moment. But I would not be surprised if he does another year after this, and he'll be well compensated for it.
Bartholomew next. 2 immediate concerns with the Fitzhire. Number 1, don't care that he didn't know about hazing. He's still the leader of the program. See the Bo Schembechler quote. And that's where it is. Yeah. 2, he's a Big Ten West merchant. However, could definitely see the culture he'd bring. And bonus, the Big Ten, it says, the Big Ten is basketball's title drought this year. Ends it. Says 3 teams make the Final Four.
Yeah, I fucked that up. That was an editing mistake by me. Sorry, Bartholomew. The Big Ten's basketball title drought this year is the 3 teams make the Final Four. Here's the thing: when you put in BIG for Big Ten, I usually change it because I don't want Jason to stumble over it, and sometimes I forget to put the word whatever. I screwed it up. BIG is not great for reading. Nobody knows.
Thanks for letting us in on it.
Sorry, little behind the curtain. You are not alone in feeling concern about. And feeling a certain way about Fitzgerald and the hazing. I mean, former Ingham County prosecutor Carol Seaman, she,
what?
I just got sent this. This was her comment today. Was just I'm pretty dismayed with its history and MSU's history, with his history and MSU's history at what this might mean for the well-being of people. With MSU's history of sexual malfeasance at so many levels, this feels really tone deaf.
Jesus.
Look, there are a lot of people who feel that way, and people have the right to, and he is going to have to, because
did Seaman look into it at all of what happened and transpired, and did she dig deep on it?
And he was exonerated is too big a word, but it's probably, he took away a lot of money and he was cleared. He was cleared from knowing.
Northwestern wouldn't pay him if it was slam dunk, right?
Correct. He had a lot of players who were supporting him, but. You're right. A big part of a program is oversight of knowing what's happening, and a lot of yeah. So
thanks for that, Seaman.
I'm not going to tell you that's a wrong way to feel.
All right, Mike Scott. Number 1, Pat Fitzgerald. He has won a total of 7 college football games since 2018. Hazing scandal, seriously. 2, this MSU hoops team plays better defense as of December 1 than any other Izzo team since at least Payne and Appling senior year.
See, now I'm scared because I know I abbreviated the word December to a period 1, and now December.
It's all right.
I'm worried what happened. I don't know what makes me worried for the rest of these. Yeah, I was trying to think about this though. Other Michigan State teams that have locked in like this and this early, and it is certainly it's because there have been teams late that did. But early, this is pretty impressive, and it's the type of identity that travels, and we've seen it already, and we've seen it kind of bully, big brands. Now, how good those teams are, we'll see. But And again, I want to see this week a lot because if they get through this week, even 1-1, and say they lose to Duke in a competitive game and beat Iowa, I think that's still a good week. I think this is a great start at 8-1. I want to see how they look against Iowa in another sort of ceiling testing game, and I want to see them handle what I think is a really good Iowa team that's capable of beating them at home. And if they do those two things, I think you really got something.
Must win. Jarrett, Big Ten men's basketball will get 3 Final Four teams this year, but still won't win a championship, losing to Duke or Zona. All right, we're going to forget about that in March, so you might have to remind us.
Yeah, I mean,
it is hot.
One of the questions always is, though, right, is if what makes the best league? Do you have to win the championship? If you have 3 teams in the Final Four, you're the best league. But at some point, the Big Ten, needs to win a championship beyond Michigan State in 2000.
Balky Bartagamus next. Fitzgerald, freed from the financial and academic limitations of Northwestern, should be a scary sight for the rest of the Big Ten. The only risk with this hire is his inability to pull players and coaches from an existing roster. But honestly, that might help retain existing talent.
Yeah, I mean, the talent acquisition part is going to be interesting. This recruiting signing day that's coming right up, the transfer portal, who he hires, I mean, is going to be really, really fascinating. And maybe Max Bulla is part of that. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I didn't.
Are you dropping that on purpose? Or?
No, sorry. We should fix that in post. We will not, but we should. Yeah, sorry.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. No.
Couch in the room first with this news.
Yeah.
Cocktease. Max Spade, Joe Rossi for defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been real, Joe. I don't think we're good. I mean, it was fun.
Well, I think Joe Rossi.
Thanks for getting us riled up for some of those games, but I think we're good.
And I think Rossi helped his career by the way he coached in November. And
the interim tag.
I would be very surprised if he's not a coordinator somewhere next year.
Spartan 18770, Luke Fickell was the home run hire. Has done nothing at Wisconsin. Kurt Cignetti was a no-name who is now making his second consecutive college football playoff appearance. Fans and experts don't know dick whether Fitz will work out or not. Like every other hire, we got to let it play out. And watching the Lane Kiffin situation brings back my Nick Saban trauma. Still not over it.
Yeah, LSU, what is the lure of LSU?
I don't get it either.
I don't.
I get that they're going to spend, and I can understand that Lane wants to do that, but why? Yeah. And how about Nick Saban saying that Ole Miss should let him coach?
And I just,
it's so weird. Saban has fuck you money. Why does he have to say these things to appease people at ESPN? It feels like.
I get that the calendar is tough on these guys, and they do have to figure that out because ultimately, the only way to be a coach who's going to get a job like that is to take a team to the playoff, and then you got to leave that team. Otherwise, you can never you can never move up.
You can't let that guy coach your team.
No,
for a
you
month,
can't.
You know what
100%.
I mean? It's just ridiculous. The notion that it would be possible.
He's got to make that decision. I just don't get the appeal of LSU, and here's why. And I think of things differently, and maybe it's covering the MAC, or maybe it's growing up around here, or whatever it is. But going somewhere where somebody else has already done it doesn't have. If you're Lane Kiffin, you can go win a national title at LSU. You know what you are? Just another dude who won a national title at LSU. Ed Orgeron did that. Nick Saban did that.
Edo.
I'm not saying it's not impressive, but you are not. If you win at Ole Miss, and this is just not his. I mean, he's a guy who wants to bounce around. But if you win a national title at Ole Miss and you're already in the playoff right now, they'll build a statue for you. You are a legend for life. I don't. This is my personality is different than Lane Kiffin. We probably are in many ways, although he's tried to adopt the Nick Saban. You watch the way he uses his hands; he's clearly been around Saban. It's toe fake. I mean, it's just anyway. But
isn't Lane Kiffin perfect for this era of college football to be the face of it and be the guy to leave a national championship contending team?
Sure,
it's wild to me.
It's just
I just don't get, because Ole Miss, Feinbaum, you had said Ole Miss was going to match whatever LSU was going to pay. It wasn't about the money thing. I mean, you can't live in Oxford damn, dude. I don't know.
And I do agree on we just don't know. I think, as I said at the top, I think there are no home run hires. There are hires that have a chance, and this one does. But we don't.
I think you don't know, but you can honestly talk about how you feel. I mean,
correct.
Right? You know Fitzgerald and what he's done in his career. Matt Boone, number 1, MSU football defense is back. 2, MSU basketball, they have sweat equity.
They do have sweat equity. And the question with MSU basketball, and when we talk about this year's team and then trying to roll it over again next year. And I'm not calling this a 2-year group. I'm not selling this group on not trying to win it all or do everything with this team. But when you look at the guys who could come back and the freshman class coming in and all that stuff, what is always a balancing act between sweat equity and overstaying is you have your moment in college basketball. And I think of that group that came back where Tyson Walker came back with Malik Hall and all those guys, and they came back almost 1 year too long. It was the year before that where I think that was their moment, and they just didn't quite have the. I don't want to say they didn't care because they played their asses off, but it's just there's a moment where you really are hungry, and it's hard to sustain that forever in college basketball. I'm curious to see if Michigan State can marry the two, what's coming in next year, and keep guys around that still feel that way.
Let's go green, go God.
Peasy, I'm so glad to see Jeremy Fears get love from the national media after everything he's been through. Dude clearly has worked hard to get here. And bonus, not sure the good outweighs the red flags with hiring Fitz. Hope to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable.
But is the red flag the hazing?
It's the hazing, I think, largely.
But can we look more into it, everybody? Can we just look, maybe Google ChatGPT, and see what happened with it and the lawsuit that he had? And
it's fair.
I'm just asking.
It's fair to say he should have known. That's fair to say. It's also, but what the evidence is that he didn't know, but it's fair to say he should have. He's the head coach, and that's fine. And you're talking about a program. To what degree Mel Tucker knew that just had a bunch of games vacated because of lack of oversight.
Doc Sportello next. We haven't seen this type of grind him out, take him to the gutters defense from an MSU hoops team since 2009. What they lack in talent will be made up for in 40 minutes of in-your-face defense and elite rebounding. If Spartans hit a few threes, we could be in serious business.
Well, you see that. The games they hit 50% from three, they're really, really hard to beat. And so
are most other teams,
Yeah, but when you add the thing is they don't tend to lean on that as their identity. The other day they were 50%, but they shot like 10 of them total. It's that again. I think if they can be and you're watching their numbers creep up, but if they can be a 35% shooting team, 34% as a team with the way they play, they're going to be really tough, and they're going to be it's a single elimination sport. I do believe there are going to be teams at the end of this year who would beat them in a 7-game series, most likely, unless they just bloodied them and were too much. But the more I watch them, the more I think on a given day they've got a shot.
Kurt Wisniewski, number 1, thank God for MSU hoops. Izzo saved Thanksgiving. 2, glad to see Jay Batt making his move for a coach that understands the Big Ten, needs for strong NIL, and can bring a program back. Fitzgerald is a motivator, and he will showcase the importance of beating our rivals. By the way, next time you see Tom, can you tell him thank you from the Rube for saving Thanksgiving? I greatly, as a Lions fan, greatly appreciate that. It was great watching that game. Thank you, Tom.
And the order in which it happened, because the Lions were first, yes, right, just the mood changer. Yeah, that.
Anything I said in the past, Tom, I'm really sorry. That was really fun on Thanksgiving, and it saved. Because I also thought Ragnar was going to be coming back, too. So, Anyway. Yeah. Are we done? All right, Bob tweets, hot take, the Lions will still make the playoffs.
I think they got a shot. I do.
How?
Tell
me.
I just
you think they're going to go 4-1?
I mean,
that puts them in, right?
I think. Well, look at how bad Minnesota is right now.
I understand that.
So let's say they beat them. Chicago at some point. I think they beat the Bears. I do. And so that's 2. I think they beat the Steelers, who suck. I think the Cowboys are actually and I'm missing one game there left.
But we suck right now. You know what I mean? Like I want to believe you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Fucking Bears are in first place. I mean, what? This is just not even right.
Oh, they got the Rams still too. Jesus.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the Rams.
Well, and but the Rams should have to automatically lose that game for losing to Carolina.
That's your rationale? Yeah. That's supposed to make me feel better?
You know how it is. You know how it is when you lose a bet. It's like, screw these guys. Just angry.
Well, yeah, spite bet. Ken Chu, after listening to Pat Fitzgerald on the ESPN Game Day podcast, hat tip Paul Konyndyk.
Konyndyk, yep.
Konyndyk. Oh, I know. I'm convinced he would be a Grand Slam hire. And from Scotty Green's El Camino, listen to that entire podcast interview with Fitzgerald from earlier this year. At the very least, he's prepared for the opportunity and well-connected. He's a better fit and understands the Big Ten landscape. Those that don't like the hire need to reconsider. Also, Fitz a way better fit for a muskox than Smith was. Get this man some new flannels. Midwest guy who probably would appreciate the soft and durable warmth they would bring.
Nothing would probably make Pat Fitzgerald better than showing up.
It's a great live read there, Ken Chu.
Well done. Well, that one was actually from Scotty Green. But part
Scotty
of Ken,
Green.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, you get a
Yeah, but
and Paul Coindoik.
But nothing would probably be appreciated more by Pat Fitzgerald when he shows up in his office. Oops, sorry, the plug
Did you
fell
just
out.
break your chair?
Nope. Then to be welcomed with like a whole closet full of Muskox flannels. Can you imagine that from the fan base? Just welcome. This is what we think of you. Durability, comfort, and again, Christmas morning, whenever it is, you know that guy in your life that you want to know you care about, be it your dad, be it your brother, your husband, whoever it might be, you care how they look and how they feel and want to give them a quality gift. Muskox Flannels is here. Go Muskox is the website, and of course,
Peacock?
Yes, Peacock for $15 off your flannel purchase. I mean, Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair. So, I will say to the point, like that podcast is worth listening to.
Legendary, apparently.
The game, and again, the reason it's referenced is he hasn't talked a lot. We haven't talked to him yet, and so at this point, that's what we have, and it's not like they really, really went back at him on the hazing stuff. I mean, they asked him about it, and he answered and talked about it. There are going to be things that he's going to have to answer to. There are going to be things that we're going to evaluate on our own as people who cover or fans or whatever of the program in terms of who he hires and how this all goes. I'm just saying this. It's worth your time.
Do you think he'll be asked about the hazing incident tomorrow when he's introduced?
It depends how he's introduced. So I think one of the things I don't like how MSU does, and I understand how they do, is these introductory press conferences. They're like with the band and the cheerleaders and half the donors, pomp and circumstance. That's not a press conference. And then they hand it to the media and they're like, "Hey, ask a question in front of everybody." That's not a good place to ask a question. It's not a good setting. What they do pretty well there, and this is important, is usually you get the new coach on the side a little bit or down separately for a press. That needs to be done because that's a better way to do it, not just to kill the vibe. So if you don't see it at that pomp and circumstance deal, whenever they do that, that's why it's just not a great situation. Fred Heumann will get up there and he'll ask, and he would be the one who might ask something in that setting. But there's no need to do it there. It's better to do it when you're actually able to
all of Fred Heumann.
have a conversation about it and some back and forth and But a lot of times what happens is then you get that's what's televised. People go, "How come he wasn't asked about that? What shitty media?" It's like, because that's set up. That's not a press conference. That's a pep rally, and with a few questions at the end, and it's just different.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this tomorrow. Some dude, number one, my biggest takeaway from the podcast interview with Fitzgerald was how it seemed to emphasize the importance of the very things that Smith wasn't able to do well. And two, when you hire someone, the most underrated element of that is how much that person wants to be there. He seems to want this pretty badly. And bonus, fuck super glue. This shit is expensive. You use a teardrop of it and seal perfectly, and the shit all dries up in a week. And then you have to go to the store just for more glue that will have the same fate.
Mm.
Dude, how much super glue are you using on one thing, though? You just said you use a teardrop of it, and you're running out? And what do we...
By the way, Michigan State has officially named
oh, my God. Well,
Fitzgerald
is Wow. Oh. And Max Bulla?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, this happened before our show. I apologize. I should have... I was, right before our show it happened. But I was trying to get the
everybody and their brother knew he was the coach. What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. We do that. But anyway, so the hire does require formal approval from the MSU Board of Trustees. The next scheduled meeting is Friday, December 12th.
What are they doing tomorrow?
Well, I mean, what
are they doing now?
So my guess is then
get over there at 9.
But he'll be introduced at 3:00 on Tuesday. Jesus. So what's interesting? What's interesting is that they are doing the press conference on the day of a Big Ten basketball game. Usually they don't like to step on each other. So, yeah, it is 3:00 on Tuesday. I should have checked that email before we started recording. Apologize for people who are, so.
Some dude, number one, my biggest takeaway from I read that. Shit. Adam Versus. I hate when I get all ramped up, too, and it's the wrong one. Adam Versus, number one, interesting to see many MSU recruiting pledges publicly reinforce commitment despite change. Has Fitz already been working communication? And two, seems like Hawkins, Wozniak, and Rossi are worth keeping as assistant coaches. Agree?
Well, I mean, it really has got to be people you're comfortable with. If you're Fitzgerald, it's about and like I said, I'm intrigued by who he hires, but it's got to be people you feel comfortable with, that share your philosophy, that make sense to work with, and that doesn't just mean they're good coaches. It has to be a fit, and you may have somebody at a certain position that you really want to work with, or you have an idea in mind. So I think those are good coaches. I think you could possibly go that way, but I don't know what he'll decide to do. I do think, like, recruiting, people saying they're still in, that's a good sign. It doesn't mean it's going to be a great class, but you do need players to stay with the program.
Nestle's Quick Hotel. One thing that concerns me about the Fitz hire is he doesn't have a current team to poach. There will most likely be a mass exodus of players into the portal. And bottom line, he's going to need more than 2 years. Oh, by the way, have we mentioned the Nick Marsh? I mean, Nick Marsh is gone, right?
Yeah, Nick Marsh. Well, he said he's going to enter the portal. And again,
Michigan, right?
Can't officially enter the portal until 5 days after he's announced. And he was announced today. Jeez. So the portal then opens, what would be 5 days? Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, I forgot
Thursday,
the NCAA's
Friday,
formal.
It's Saturday is when the portal opens for Michigan State players, right? So,
smart.
We'll again, if I were Nick Marsh, I've got 1 year that I want to have a great year and go to the NFL. I'm not coming back to MSU. I'm going somewhere to have I don't think anybody can blame him. And I'm not saying Nick Marsh had a great year. He had a good final game. But you also, the guy just went through 2 years of losing, and it's like, if I were him, I'd go out west, down south. I'd go to Indiana. I'd go somewhere and
Afghanistan. Fucking anywhere. Canada.
Yeah, I'd go somewhere else for the next year.
Fart Soup, next. The first basketball game that Fitzgerald gets announced at, Couch will start clapping so hard that people will think Alan Haller is in attendance.
Well played. Yeah, possible. Yep. And so that's tomorrow. I'll be standing up there on the
Tim. Number one, you talk about MSU fans having basketball and hockey to ease the pain of football, with Michigan most likely being number one in both. Do you think fans would rather have MSU be irrelevant in both and Michigan also be irrelevant, or MSU is good but slightly worse than Michigan in both? Is this a SAT question? What do we do? Well, how do I? Oh, two. What is your confidence level in the Lions making the playoffs if they split with Dallas and then the Rams? I'll spare you the Hoff. The rest of the games are versus Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Chicago. Well, Tim's no fun.
The whole point is Hoff. Yeah, let me look this up. Can I get some Hoff? Yeah.
I think he's got one of the games wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man, this is the best. Okay. So what is your confidence level? If they split with Dallas and the Rams, that means they've beaten.
I'm not confident.
Do you think they win?
I'm not confident.
Yeah.
I don't. Honestly, if you ask me right now, I don't think we make the playoffs as we currently stand.
So when I look at the Lions' schedule, the last game of I do think if they split with the Rams and Cowboys, they will be playing the Bears for a playoff berth on January 4th. I think January 4th would almost be like the first playoff game. I think that will be the case.
Dude, Stafford is going to put a number up on us.
Why didn't he do it against Carolina?
Healthy. I understand that, but Carolina, I don't know their injury report, but my God, they have healthy guys.
Apparently. So to the first question, okay, let's solve this riddle. MSU basketball fans having basketball and hockey to ease the pain, with Michigan most likely being number one in basketball and hockey. Yeah. Do you think fans would rather have MSU be irrelevant in both, and Michigan also be irrelevant, or MSU is good? No, I mean MSU fans. I mean they're not. It's different in those sports because there's no threat to anybody either way. Like one of the best, healthiest things about the basketball rivalry is it doesn't matter if you win or lose it. I mean it matters, but it doesn't matter in terms of I'm better than you, man. Either way, like because you're not. The next year, the programs are both good. The next year, you may lose, and so there's no real upper hand. Where in football, that doesn't ever you feel that way. It feels like there's an actual upper hand that's being had one way or another. So, and in hockey, I still think Michigan State probably has the most talented team in the country, and maybe more. Although I think I don't know if they're more talented. Michigan State, I think have a real good chance to be battling at the top there. I think that's gonna be a great couple series, including this weekend, Michigan State hockey. Basketball, we'll see. Michigan looks very, very good. Michigan State looks pretty damn good too. It's going to be a fun winter, but it's just a different discourse because there's no threat to take something from you. In other words, from either of those sides.
And that's the taint.
Break.
All right, you want to break? All right, we will be right back with more of your takes. Couch in the Rube, our you must have texted me, and I didn't see it because I was like, when you say break out loud, it's like my man's got to pee. More of your takes. Our Monday show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels.
Firekeeper's online casino and sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carryout menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, our Monday show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Go to GoMuskox.com and use the promo code Peacock for $15 off your flannel purchase. You don't even have to give it to somebody else as a gift. Like, make yourself feel good. And it's a great time of year for that. If you're out, last night, I've got to doing some snow blowing, taking the trash bin out, doing a lot of stuff, trying to get back to the toilet. We already heard that stuff. And I'm in comfort. I look good. I wasn't cold out there. I'm wearing a Muskox flannel. Again, GoMuskox.com. Jason, I was just looking at the details of this press conference for Pat Fitzgerald.
Yes.
It's called a press conference.
Okay.
Is a member of the press. It's a press conference. I am uninviting donors, fellow coaches, anybody who's not there to do the job of media. The band can't be there, cheerleaders, anybody. That's all of Fred.
Fred Human can be there.
If we're going to have a televised press conference where we're going to get actually conversations, nobody else can be there.
It's a Tuesday. Why does it have to be like a band and everything?
It's just got to have it like just Izzo's Monday usual press conference, just a regular, it's got to be the same crew. That's what we're doing. I'm putting my foot down. Yeah. That's
just you. You're putting your foot down.
just me.
Okay.
Just like me when I call it, it's funny in a football game. This is not funny, but I'm telling it anyway. In games where there's media timeouts, right, in college football that take 3.5 minutes or whatever. It's like every time you actually need one to pee, why can't I call down? Can we have one a game where we call down? We're like, we're the actual media. We'd like a timeout. I'd like to pee. Just like you just did with your break thing. I will fix that in post. That was not good podcasting there. I apologize. Let's keep going.
Bill McLeod next. Izzo's mantra of players play tough, players win has been embraced by this year's team. Saturday may show their true ceiling for the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I still think seasons tend to grow as you get into January and February. We've seen a lot of MSU teams do that. We saw that last year. So I still think there's more, and just based on how this team's grown. But Duke is one of those teams that looks like a behemoth. Now, it's also a home game, so there's some advantages that MSU, has that, home matters in college basketball. I think it's worth 10 points in college basketball.
Whoa.
So I think they had to keep that in mind.
10 points?
Yeah, I think home court.
So Vegas doesn't know what they're doing.
Not in college basketball. I think that's one of the best things you can win on because Vegas does not fully measure home court.
10 points.
It's much more than any other sport.
It's the American way, except America has gotten soft.
Matt Salisbury. Number one, I wonder if people are overreacting about Fitz. More people were on board with Smith with no donor backing. Fitz has backing and no recruiting restrictions and a Midwest Big Ten hire. And two, fuck Brad Holmes for now.
Yeah, Jason's turning into the Brad Holmes.
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying I think our playoff window and Super Bowl window is closing because of him. Yeah. Argue me. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
I'm willing to. I don't want to sit there and blame Brad Holmes because he's had some good drafts and all that stuff, but he hasn't done anything in free agency or to help us this year.
He's been frustrating and right and
trading up for Tesla. I mean, it's just
No, I'm
the Ragnow situation. I mean,
I'm with you. Yeah,
I blame Rod Wood first and then Brad Holmes. Mr. W, I like the Fitz hire. I think he brings that FU attitude we've been missing. He'll be a good front man, unlike Smith, who never seemed comfortable. What the ceiling of the football program is under Fitz, I'm not sure, but excited to see what he can do with MSU resources.
Yeah, I think one of the things about him, if you're on the intrigue side or you're looking for reasons to be intrigued, is Northwestern for a long time was a really hard place to win, and he won there more than any other coach ever had. And including since 2018, despite the bad years at the end, 2 Big Ten West championships. And you can say, well, it's the West. It's still, you're at Northwestern. You're playing with half a deck, so to speak. And I think what he did there largely in terms of consistency, did he run out of steam at the end? What happened there? I don't know. But I think he's reinvigorated now. I think he's probably got a plan, and I don't know that it'll work. But I do find that this has a chance, and I do think in terms of fit, which is what we've heard a lot about for the last year. I think fit is important, and in this day and age, if you've got resources and fit and a good coach, I think you got a chance.
Spartan Dog 97, if Fitz is who the donors want, whatever. As long as the check's clear and Bat backs off his legal NIL, trying to hand behind our backs bullshit. But I have a feeling we'll be doing this again in 2027.
They're not firing a coach in 2 years. They're not firing Fitzgerald unless he does something stupid. But, this is now the guy who's been hired by the current president and the current AD and the donors on board. And so when you do that, there's a level of accountability for everybody else around them. And you can't keep cycling through coaches like this. I think one of the things that Jay Batt even struggled with, I've heard, is the idea he didn't feel great about cycling through coaches every 2 years. He didn't feel great about the 2-year thing. He didn't feel great about a standard of this. Right. And so I think that was one of the things that he battled in terms of whether to bring Smith back.
Sparty 99 next. If X is a litmus test for public opinion, the national opinions on the Fitz hire are extremely, extremely positive, while the local opinions are negative. Why do you think that is? And from Sparty Tom, are you surprised by the anger of some Spartan fans over this hire, or a case of the internet amplifying the angriest voices?
I think it's very mixed. I think there are some anger. I think there's a lot of we'll see. I think there's some.
This podcast kind of tells you, right?
Absolutely. There's excitement too. There's it's a range of emotions.
Yeah.
The national Fitz is a guy. I'm not going to call him Fitz. Fitzgerald.
Fitz dog.
Yeah. Pat Fitzgerald is a guy that has always been well liked nationally because he does communicate well. All the things that you have not liked about Jonathan Smith, and he is somebody who's been in a major media market, who's been accessible, who's been, all the reasons that I had to check myself because he's an easy interview. National folks like the guy. And I do think you even saw Connor Stallions, though, tweet today. What a good hire he thought. I think there are some football people who think this is really good.
Is that a good thing?
Well, he knows football, right?
By the way, who's going to be the first media member to call him Fitz?
Who's your guess?
I don't know. I know you, Solari. Like, who's on the beat anymore? Brooks. Brooks won't do it.
No, it would be.
Comp's not going to do it.
It'll be
Lindsey Huddleston.
I don't think
he goes first.
Yeah, but he won't do it.
Fitz, dog. Let me just ask you. Welcome.
Human wouldn't do it, right? No. I don't know.
Ebling.
I think it would. I think. Without Hondo, nobody's going to do it off the hand.
Damn it.
Early
need Hondo back. Yeah. Munfield Keg Fitzgerald wouldn't have been my first choice, but I'm really surprised at the negative. Did I read that? No. Surprised at the negative reaction
sounded like
from the fan base. Fitz is a football guy who understands the Big Ten and our rivalries. His biggest plus seems to be that donors are okay with him. The money has always been the most important part.
Yeah, I mean, if Jonathan Smith had the money at the level it takes to win, he'd still be the coach.
How short was he then? Then be honest with me. Let's hear it.
How short do I think he was relative to coaches who are being?
We have to sit there and feel bad for him. I mean,
I think his budget was about half of what Mike Elko had. So and I think if he had Mike Elko's budget, he'd still be the coach.
I think you and I could coach a fucking national championship with that much money.
He's being
with
celebrated.
Elko money.
He's being celebrated.
I know, but that's a hell of a reach. Like, well, if he had Elko money, well, no shit if we all had that.
My sense is he probably had between 5 and 10 million less in Indiana.
All right, man. DMB number 1, Alessio is Levitt with higher upside and no ego. He has to be priority number 1 for Fitz. 2, raising the floor is the bare minimum with Fitz. At worst, this is a good and safe hire. The Spartan fan base saying otherwise are delusional about the state of the program.
Alessio, would that be your first? Like his dad already tweeted he wasn't thrilled that Jonathan Smith went. Now that doesn't mean he's going to leave.
I know, Dad, but
right,
I know that Jonathan Smith believed in your son, but
he's a suburban Chicago guy, as is Fitzgerald. What we don't know because we found this out with Jonathan Smith when Sam Levitt was right from Jonathan Smith's backyard, and all of a sudden that worked against Michigan State because he had chosen a different quarterback over him. So we don't know what the Fitzgerald relationship is with Alessio. But I would make that. I don't think Alessio is Levitt with higher upside, no ego. I think he might have no ego. I don't know that either. But I think Levitt still got a pretty high upside.
I mean, the poor kid was running for his life, so it's hard to
we just don't know. But I
hung in there for sure.
He's certainly somebody you'd like to have back. You'd like to see where that career goes. And I think you need a quarterback, and it's easier to keep one than get one. And so if I were Fitzgerald, that would be, you got to build a line. You got to make sure any young linemen that you think have any promise, you make sure they stay. And you if you can keep your quarterback, you do that.
I mean, I agree with DMB and his number 2. I just hate safe hire. I just hate the term the safe hire. Yeah. It just means like you gotta just be willing to take a chance and Yeah. I don't know. Owen, I am completely underwhelmed by the Fitz hire. Only had success in the weak Big Ten West and only won 7 games in his last 3 years at Northwestern before being fired over hazing allegations. Tell me why I should be excited. This doesn't feel like the best option. Just an easy one. And from Ryan Schultz, Fitzgerald was 1-9 against Michigan, only win against Rich Rod. Sounds like a 10-year contract incoming. No 10-year contracts, please God. No.
I mean, the record at the end is not great. And that's a fair thing to look at. And that was during the beginning of this NIL era. Now, he was at a place where the beginning of the portal, the hell was he? Northwestern. Not a place that takes a lot of transfers where I think it was a little harder to do that game, and that's going to be a challenge for them. Now, if I think they're starting to change that a little bit, and I'm curious to see what happens there. I mean, part of my resentment toward Northwestern is their lack of accepting transfers. That's beyond football. That's just period. Like, I knew leaving LCC I couldn't go to Northwestern. I don't know that I wanted to or I could afford it, but they weren't going to accept me because they're snobby asses. Like, Nick Montez went there and good for you, man, but like, it didn't mean we weren't better than you at Columbia. We just couldn't get in. So fuck off, Northwestern.
Community college to Northwestern. Yeah, you can understand. I think why they wouldn't want you.
No. If you, we're not going to get into it. I just can't.
I know. I was trying to get you around.
Oh, you've done it.
This will be a 9-hour show. TC
might be already.
Brunzi Fritz is the perfect hire. He was exonerated in the scandal, and yes, he burned out after 15 years at Northwestern.
MSU doesn't want to hire him for 15, but I expect to get a rejuvenated, fiery coach who will reinstill the toughness mindset MSU had during peak Antonio.
Yeah, I don't know about length. You're not worried about any length of time right now. What you're worried about is can you rejuvenate and rebuild a program and get things going, and then you deal with anything else. If Fitzgerald coaches 6 years, and at the end of 6 years, Michigan State's had 2 10-win seasons, and he wants to go coach the Chicago Bears because Ben Johnson finally runs out of post-game speeches. Like,
it's kind of tacky taking your shirt off, though, I got to say. No offense.
To Ben Johnson. Yeah.
Locker
weird.
room. I mean, come on.
A little weird.
Yeah.
But if, you live with that. You just want, at this point, Michigan State just wants to get to the point of being relevant and being competitive and feeling like they have program momentum again. People are desperate for that.
Dan Grave, all of Fitt's success came in the Big Ten West before the NIL at a school with tough admissions. So no one has a clue how this hire works out.
100%. Now, you can think that interview he did, is intriguing, and he sounds like a guy who's thought this through. He's not just coming from that Northwestern situation like, I'm going to do it with a few more resources. Like, he's really thought it through, and I think that makes it intriguing. I think it's got a chance to work, but we don't know, and we will have to see.
Prayer warrior next. Graham, explain to me how we're about to receive a multi-$100 million influx of cash into the program, and Fitzgerald is the name we immediately reach for. Obviously, MSU isn't a premier destination with sanctions and recent history. But come on, son.
So I'm the wrong person for this because I think like you and I disagree. I don't know, it's not a hard disagree. Like if Michigan State had hired somebody else, they might have been very intriguing to me, and especially as you got to
Matt Campbell,
look at them more.
Iowa State.
That would have been absolutely. It would have been a great hire. So there are other hires that could have been made, but this is one that from an early on stage I thought would work at Michigan State. So you're talking to, and I can be wrong on this. I'm just saying you're talking to somebody that this would have been an early call for me if I had been in J-Bat's shoes.
Moneybag, the supposed major donor support better be legit. We've been sold so much hype over the last 5 years that it hasn't materialized into anything.
Oh, I think what you're going to see this week is pretty major. Yeah. So, but what that looks like year in and year out, and how they're able to manifest that in a roster building, we'll see.
Austin Wolf, is the timing of the signing day a big issue?
I mean, I think it's awful for a lot of programs. Anybody is on the move. Like it's weird. It's the season's not even over. The season ended for a lot of teams. It's not. It'd be one thing if it was deep into the playoffs. Even that's not great. But it's like the conference championship games are this weekend. Like if you're preparing for a conference championship game, you've got to deal with signing day in the middle of the week. Like, talk about making conference championship games seem irrelevant. It's an absolute issue. Frankly, if you're anybody who thinks this works, you should not be in college football. This is unacceptable.
You don't know
period.
Ball.
You don't know ball, and it should be part of your obituary that you thought this was okay, and you probably shouldn't be in leadership anywhere.
But North Texas and Tulane are going to make, or one of those teams are going to make the college football playoff, and both got rid of their coaches, or the coaches are gone.
The coaches are leaving after
you know what
this.
I mean? It's just, what is happening?
Calendars. The first
Lane Kiffin thing, it's just wild.
The first thing that needs to happen is the college football season needs to move up a week in August so that we were done a week ago. That helps. You probably need to get rid of conference championship games.
Is that for the betterment of college football, or it helps you? Like
betterment of college football. It doesn't make a difference for me.
Well, we have to sometimes ask because it's more. Sometimes you say those things and it's to benefit you.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fair.
Ralphie, busy week. Florida for Thanksgiving. Take Elizabeth anyplace nice. 12 columns since last Sunday. Whew. Soccer, hoops, football. No one criticizing the Fitz hire without watching the game day link in your column should be acknowledged. 12 columns?
I don't know. It was 12 bylines. I don't know if it was full columns, but yeah, it's been
this
busy.
Guy. He's all humble now.
It's been busy. Yeah, it's a fun time of year though.
Called the Fitz hire, 12 columns.
It's a fun time of year, man. It always is. I wouldn't want to do November every month, but it's there's a lot of cool stuff going on. Did I take Elizabeth anyplace nice? Yeah, we went to we went to where did we go? We went to Sanibel Island. And did a fun drive around there, and we went out to eat a couple places.
Fun drive.
We had a good time. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? You guys literally could just go for a drive?
Well, there's some cool, like, refugee water stuff. Yeah, there's some cool, yeah, right. And
there's refugees?
Not refugees. It's not a refugee. What's the word?
You saw refugees?
No, it's like a park with a wildlife refuge, not refugees. No. I'm not like driving down Sanibel Island, like pointing at the refugees. I'm pointing at the swans and the pelicans.
I'm trying to figure it out. I didn't know
Not the refugees. That would be bad. That'd be a different story. If what I found in Sanibel Island was just nothing but refugees, I would write that.
13 columns. Big John Hogg, number 1. 5 of 8 high school state titles were won by Catholic schools. Like I said, and as a public school coach myself, they need their own division. 2, a real Christmas tree is leagues above a fake Christmas tree. And 3, cannot wait until MSU does not play at Ford Field anymore.
I'm not a huge it's warm and it's nice and so I think a lot of people like that. I think
shout out to you to blame the weather though for the attendance, like to throw that on there. Well, it's nice of you.
The drive was pretty nasty, and I stayed overnight, not intending to, because you just driving home was just.
You stayed the night?
Yeah, not at the stadium,
Marriott?
at the hotel. Of Fairfield. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The Livonia area.
So do you think people like if you spent $100 on tickets to that game and you saw the weather, did you just eat it and not go?
I think some people did, because it was that dicey. It was driving down there was the first time, and the problem is the roads hadn't seen winter yet this year, so there had not been salt on them once. It was the first time I could feel my tires, a couple times kind of lose control of them a little bit. It was not great. I got off the highway and took 8 Mile in for a while, and it was
Ooh.
Yeah, it was not. I didn't see Eminem or anything. It was just sorry, it's not bad.
Hold on, you don't know. You earned this one.
Jesus, thank you. Real Christmas tree, fake Christmas tree. Where are you on this?
We always get a brand new Christmas tree.
Love it,
but I don't know if it's levels above. I do enjoy it over a tree. I don't know.
I like the idea.
It's nice to just like to chuck it on the front yard. The guys come over and ovid and pick it up in a truck. So. Having to break it down every year, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and it just seems to me it's a fun activity to go out and get a tree. I enjoy that. I enjoy the process of it. It's just a fun date night. It's a fun day to go out. We went out and got a little tree this year, and we haven't done it in a couple of years, but we enjoyed.
Did you see any refugees?
Did not see any refugees or the trees.
Refuge.
Yeah. I can be convinced also on the Catholic schools needing their own divisions. I don't know that I'd want that of a public school. I want to beat them. I want to win but I also understand the reasons for it.
Haja BVB next. Holiday work parties are ass.
I don't
really
know.
are.
You don't. Not a fan?
They used to be good in like the mid 2000s
when when companies had money. Yeah.
Right. Well, I worked in TV, so like that's when it was kind of booming back then. So we would have actually parties where free booze and food was allowed, and yeah.
I've been to some good holiday
times at those parties, but
I've been to all, when you're in the newspaper business, you've been to all sorts of ebbs and flows of the holiday party.
Oh, boy.
Because sometimes the holiday party is a reaction to something. So it doesn't even mean the company, when they were flush with cash, when I first got into the business, not flush with cash, but when we had money, they were great. They got worse. But then they would try to make up for like layoffs. You'd be places and be like, we just laid off half the staff. But look at this Christmas party, and you just sort of
Graham had to get a hotel room at the Ford Field game. He had to go to, by the way, so that's why we're not having a Christmas party this year. He couldn't drive back.
Probably the Fort Myers trip.
So thank Graham for the canceled LSJ party.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed your hotel room. Shep, we have a new entrant into Couch's Mount Rushmore of awful takes. Man, this is harsh. Number 1, Alex Carter is a better quarterback than Cousins. 2, the 2012 MSU football offense might set the record for points scored.
2018, but close, yeah.
3, the Payne Appling basketball team is matchup proof. And the new one, 4, someday Alan Haller will receive a standing ovation at an MSU game.
The word standing has been added to this take, and it was never standing. I never said standing. I said an applause. I don't think it was. Maybe I said the word ovation, but I think
it just turned into a smattering.
Yeah, basically, my point is 10 years from now, if he's at a basketball game at Breslin and the video board shows him, there will be an applause for him, a healthy applause, I would say, for Alan Haller. There will be.
If Matsy is there,
I will pump in the sound if I have to.
You're gonna be so loud. All right, Richard Kane, number 1. I think I've seen MSU's quarterback's last name spelled about 8 different ways in Graham's various columns. That's a tough one. 2, Kiffin leaving a championship contending team just a couple of weeks before they begin their quest for a national title to lead their number 2 rival is some of the lowest mercenary behavior you'll ever see.
A couple things. Yeah, I mean, I would say Ole Miss if I were him. But the MSU quarterback misspelling name, that's hard for me to do because I do not trust my ability to spell Milivojevic.
Or say it.
But to the point that I usually copy it from either a previous place or a place where it's actually, so somebody else is misspelling it if I'm misspelling it, because I'm not typing it out.
Pushing blame.
I'm not typing it out.
Love this
very
new
rarely.
couch.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
nice.
I hope not. At least
Push that blame.
But it's also possible that I misspelled.
Hire Richard Kane to edit your shit.
Yeah. By the way, I do appreciate there are a number of listeners and readers who email me typos, including my mother, and I don't mind that. Like I'd rather get it, catch it. Like it's not a.
You love those?
Well, I don't mind it. It's don't be a jerk about it, but I do. I don't mind it.
Hey, asshole.
Yeah.
Start it with that.
Yeah.
G Money, number one. Everyone jumping on the Fitz bandwagon deserves the mid-teams will have the next 3 years. 2, Bat should be in the hot seat with how he handled the firing and with who he hired. Hashtag fire G Bat.
Whoa.
3, Baked. Ragnow has killed our hopes twice this year. Bro ain't my line anymore. I don't know. Do we blame? I guess we blame Ragnow. I just don't understand why we had to announce it. Him coming back and all of the pomp and circumstance.
If I'm his wife, I'm concerned about his health long term, because if you don't know you have
Tom Rinaldi.
No, but if you don't
fun here,
if you don't know you have a torn hamstring, like I'm worried that you don't know what you also
he's on
don't
medication. Know. He's a prescription.
I'm
meds?
saying I want a full body scan.
Intervention.
Like, make sure you also you might have many other things.
Well, how did he tear it? When did he tear it?
I don't know.
When he was hunting, or
I think at the
how
very
do you
least
blow out that like hamstring and just like, man, I tell you what,
the least Ragnow could do is have a press conference and like just answer some questions, because he did say he was coming back.
Did you like? I would like to see if he limps up to the podium. Like, did you limp into the fucking
right?
Like, hey guys, I mean, I think.
What if you do? You have like a cast on your leg and you're like, I think I can do this. Yeah, I don't know.
What about next year?
Are we? Right. Is he done for good?
That was the other thing. The announcement of the re-retirement. There's like, oh, Frank's always a lion. Anyway, go about your fucking Thanksgiving. It's like, anyway, or your week. Zach McKimstry, the Jonathan Smith didn't get the support he needs takes are ridiculous. He didn't get the support he needs because major donors wouldn't buy into him. How could you possibly watch any of his interviews and press conferences and decide to fork over a 7-figure check?
I mean, I think that
pound the bushes.
Look, it was his greatest weakness. I mean, obviously they didn't win games, but man, like his inability to sell himself and to and I don't think he failed to communicate like when he was doing the job. I don't think it wasn't something where I don't think he was
Look
like
at that ocean over there.
Yeah, I don't think he was struggling
body blows,
struggling to call a play or to tell the quarterback something. Like he couldn't form a sentence, even if sometimes they did work backwards like Yoda. But like it was
Is Aiden Childs to blame though, somewhat at all? I know we haven't mentioned his name, but like, did he stick with Childs too long?
He might have.
Alessio should have been out there sooner, but
he might have. But so, what are the games? You're going to win. I mean, if you go Alessio at Nebraska,
please
do you win
don't go
game?
through the schedule.
Yeah,
please
I'm sorry.
don't.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'd like to get out of here by midnight. Matty B, the fake outrage by high school officials over a Spartan logo at Ford Field is the softest thing I've ever seen. I understand moving the games, but the logo, Charmin soft.
Yeah, I didn't know there was outrage. Apparently, the Spartan logo at Ford Field is there, and instead of the MHSA, I don't know.
Jesus,
look, it is the MHSA weekend. Michigan State should bugger off and go do its own thing at its own stadium.
Bugger off. Tim Horton, number one, the Board of Trustees blocks the Fitzgerald hire. We are stuck with an interim for 2026. Oh, this show would be great. 2, the MHSAA needs to change all football playoff rounds except title games to Fridays.
I don't know. Saturday, I love high school football playoffs on Saturdays. I enjoy it. It just means the games are getting big. And by the way, Jeff Hewer just texted, said 100% Childs had a big hand in it's going wrong. And maybe he didn't develop, but I don't think it was for lack of effort. And obviously, if they had Sam Levitt over Childs, would he still be the coach? Probably. But that goes back to a mistake he made in recruiting, right? I mean, he just misjudged those two players. And look, it wasn't that Childs wasn't a great prospect, but Sam Levitt was too, and he was right in his
But see, aren't those the big decisions big-time coaches have to make? Though I understand Childs followed him from Oregon State and all that, but when it isn't working, to go, you know what, man, I'm sorry, I got to make a change going into this year.
So, but he made the change there were two games they could have won and maybe should have won, Minnesota and Iowa, that he had made the change. And if he wins those two games, he's probably the coach. Had he made the change earlier, with Nebraska, Alessio came in and had, showed some.
I mean, the offensive line was still shit.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
it's bad. Yeah.
Who are you going to put back there? Sparty Ben, I have a feeling we will be doing the same thing in 2 to 4 years. I don't care that he was at Northwestern, supposedly with no money. He's 3-24 in the Big Ten West in his last 3 years. That's horrible. I would rather take a swing on a group of 5 coach like Chesney or Eck than a guy who couldn't win the Big Ten West and lost to a MAC team multiple times. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it. And from Thomas, we'll be back in the same spot in another 2 years, hiring an AD whose only goal is to please donors. Given MSU's major donor base, means you're speed running the death and purgatorial existence of the football program.
I don't think that's the way Bat thinks. I don't. I think he is too big of an alpha personality for that. But part of it is, working with the donors is unquestionably part of the job. I think Sparty Ben's take here, Chesney or Eck, is 100% fair. And those guys would have been interesting hires. I liked Eck a lot. Chesney had an intriguing background. I hadn't read a ton about him yet. I had read quite a bit on Eck, and 100%. You could have hired other people who might have been successful. I happen to think Fitzgerald's got a chance to be, despite the numbers you point out there. But this is a 100% fair take and a reasonable take to have, and to be less than thrilled and think there could have been a better way to go.
Sparty Ben and Trey, when was Pat hired? When did you first hear rumblings about Fitz possibly heading to MSU? Saturday night. And who was the main group pushing for him? Donors, former players, Izzo, D'Antonio, J. Bat, and from David Jackson. I chatted with a donor in the Munfield lot at the Penn State game who I asked about a possible new coach. He matter-of-factly said it's a done deal and the big dollar donors want and will get Fitzgerald. 1, this obviously was an open secret, and 2, the decision was made long ago.
I don't know exactly how long ago. I mean, you can read tea leaves on certain things on a guy like Fitzgerald, for one, saying that he wanted to go somewhere with a really good basketball coach and things like that in that interview on November 6th. I can look back at text messages, and it was probably, in October, November, early November, you start asking some people names, who they're hearing, where people are, and Fitzgerald's name was popping up. Done deal, I don't think is sure.
Donors are out there in parking lots with loose lips.
But that's and if you have a little bit of beer in your hand and you're a donor and you're done deal, got it. Yeah, I don't know.
Can't let Hios out anywhere.
I don't know that it was a done deal at that point. I don't.
Yeah, it was. Fosdane 80. 1 Graham. You mentioned in your 3 hot takes on the hiring of Pat Fitzgerald that Fitzgerald's hiring was championed by top donors. Can you name names? Are they all in alignment? This alum and 12-year season ticket holder can't stomach many more years of top donors, the athletic department, and MSU's administration not moving in lockstep with each other. If we still have factions among MSU's power brokers, neither Fitzgerald nor any other coach will have a successful run at MSU. Please elaborate what you know about this.
Yeah, my understanding is the
Need names?
No, I'm not going to do names. But the people first of all, I don't know all the names, but I
make them up.
In terms of tiers of people, there was some momentum and some people who did want Jonathan Smith back. This wasn't some, but I think toward the top, it was something that Fitzgerald and moving on from him more so was something that was wanted. And if they were going to pay for it, and I think when this all comes out, we'll sort of see how that happens. I think that J. Bat was willing to do that.
Aaron Whitford next. Pat Fitzgerald might have been a good hire in 2015, but there is no reason to expect that he will perform better than he did at the end of his tenure at Northwestern. Feels like Mike Riley to Nebraska. But wait until he has more resources is not a great criteria. And from Ryan Speaks. Not excited about Pat Fitzgerald. 1-11 and 3-9 in his last 2 seasons, and I don't care about the COVID year. Always thought he was a great fit for Northwestern, but figured MSU could do better with their resources. So now are we going after top-tier players since all the donors are behind Fitz? Please. I think next year at this time, we're going to be wondering if we should have kept Smith. I mean, really, Aaron? I don't think so.
I don't think people are going to.
I don't know what could happen to where I've been like, you know what, we should have kept Smith.
Well, what would happen is Smith finds a job somewhere else and starts winning big.
Yeah, but still, it was time to end it. I mean,
it wasn't working.
He can go wherever he wants, and I just don't.
And I don't think people are going to be bitter towards Smith. I mean, Smith did not get them on probation. He didn't get fired for masturbating on the phone with a vendor.
Whoa, we don't have.
We don't have enough time for all of that.
Old shit. What are we talking about?
He didn't embarrass the school other than not winning. And
he has vacated wins, so
it's not on him. And then also the players that did play for him, they at least played hard to the end. This wasn't something where, you think back to that Penn State game 2 years ago at Ford Field, and I'm not saying that they were just overmatched beyond belief. I'm not saying there was too much quit, but how different this looked against Maryland. These guys won their last game. They were still playing toward the end. They weren't embarrassing the university. They were, representing the program with pride, and that is, so I think Smith will be somebody looked at as a failed coach. I do not think he'll be looked at as somebody who people look at as with disgrace or disgust years from now.
Stephen Waite next. If you're paying Jonathan Smith $30 million to walk away, then make a bold move. Give Brian Hartline a blank check. Tell him to fill in the number and become MSU's next head coach, and we'll see you after the playoffs. By hiring Pat Fitzgerald, it sends the message that MSU is content with going 6-6, 7-5, 4 out of every 5 years, with the occasional 4-8 or 8-4 season. That MSU isn't serious about ever winning a Big Ten title or qualifying for the playoffs. Thanks, love the podcast, and happy holidays.
Appreciate you, Stephen. A couple things, and let me know if you agree with this, Jason. I think part of times have just changed. We don't know what Pat Fitzgerald will be with resources, assuming those are there, constructing a roster and a program in this era.
Sure.
And so, again, if we're just going on what was previously done at Northwestern, how he built it there, I don't know. And again, there were limitations there. I part of the reason I think this has a chance to be really good is I think he is a guy who has experience. I think he's a guy who's got a chip on his shoulder, probably been humbled a little bit, has always wondered what he can do with more resources, and has been thinking about how he would do this, right?
Right. I just don't think there's any wrong answer here. I think that some people saying, I think the wrong answer is saying that in 2 years there's going to be a new head coach. I think that's kind of crazy talk. But if you're like Steven and you just want to say, I just don't like what's, Fitzgerald did at Northwestern at the end,
100%
and all the, the lawsuit and all that stuff. So I can understand what Steven is saying. So, Chris next. Graham called it. Absolutely despise hiring someone who went 1-8 in the fucking Big Ten West 3 of his last 4 years and has gone a combined 4-20 since NIL started. But at least the Cho donors are happy now. Look forward to them paying his buyout in the next 2 to 4 years while we cap out at maybe making a bowl game. And 2, bonus. Attendance for Ford Field was pitiful, 30,317, almost 20,000.
It was not that. It was 15,020 maybe. Yeah.
Almost 20,000 less than attended the Snowstorm Rutgers game last year, like I did for the full game. And it wasn't just this team. 60,000 people showed up to watch winless MSU play winless Penn State at Spartan Stadium. MSU could never do that again.
Yeah, I mean, I think the weather played a fair part in it. There was a lot fewer than 50,000 last year in Spartan Stadium. There are a lot fewer than 30,000 this year at Ford Field. Yeah,
is that what they announced?
Yeah,
30,000?
because that's what's the sold ticket sold or distributed. It was not a great crowd, and I think some of it had to do with the weather, but not all of it. I think this was people speaking to how they felt about the program, and I don't know that a big showing would have changed anything, though. I don't think it would have.
It would have been wild if there was a big showing.
Like 60,000 people there on a snowy night,
like out of
chanting,
nowhere.
"We want more from Smith. We want more from Smith."
That's a little wordy, but work on it.
Yeah.
Purple M&M next. Does the university have any idea how this hire looks given the near decade of institutional dysfunction? And who the hell will want their kid to play for a guy who, 1, adamantly has publicly fought against their rights as student athletes, and 2, allowed hazing to happen under his watch? Oh, is this the union thing?
Well, the union thing is something that I think people were he was against that, and it was a different time, but still that's gonna follow him a little bit too.
But listen to that podcast he did with Pete Thamel.
Absolutely,
yeah.
People should listen. They should go get all the information they can. I think that it is hard to find a football coach who's perfect. I mean, Mark D'Antonio recruited a defensive tackle who had red flags everywhere, who came here and raped a gymnast. right? That is on D'Antonio forever. That is a stain on his and for all the nice things about D'Antonio.
It's not like D'Antonio knew he was going to rape someone.
No, but this was a guy he was told to stay away from. This wasn't the other. This wasn't King Corley and Vance stuff.
I know, it's
this
Robertson.
was Austin Robertson. Yeah, right. You look at every coach, a lot of coaches have an issue. These are imperfect people. And the question is, can you live with the imperfections? Do you fear those imperfections are character flaws that will bring down your university? Michigan State has a shitty history on a number of fronts with this stuff. And so the question is, can they compete in sports when there aren't perfect people out there? How do you find those people? And again, I don't know the when you look at Chesney or Eck, I don't know their full past or if there will be any issues there. But a lot of these guys have something that somewhere along the line is something you can point to, and Fitzgerald definitely does.
Derek in Cleveland next. Hey, Graham, hope you're surviving. I like that. Here is my hot take. As a personality fit, this is a home run. Defensive guy, Midwest roots, fundraising machine, and will understand the Michigan rivalry. Everything else screams total disaster. Hazing scandal, horrible record 3 of the last 4 years at Northwestern, and has no players to bring with him. That said, Jay Batt won't remain in the job through 2026.
Wow. Hey, well, there's going to be a lot to write about. This is going to happen. Yeah. Write this one down. What he does say it's a hot
just
take.
Jay Batt gets fired and what?
Or he moves on to something else. I don't see that. I think, if Guskowitz is there, I think Batt sticks around.
JD, on day one, Fitzgerald is a much better fit for MSU than Smith ever was or could be. Thankfully, the Fan Perpetual Grievance Society didn't get a chance to whine about every coach rumor leaked by their agents, but they're making up for it with their ranting about Fitzgerald.
Oh, there's more. Sorry.
Oh, shit. He'll be supremely motivated for this chance to coach the Big Ten again, and you can damn well be sure he'll take the Michigan game seriously.
Yep. No, I think there are elements of him that'll be a fit. And obviously there are a lot of people, and we're reading them here, who aren't as enthusiastic about it. And not all. Some are Michigan fans, I think, but there are a lot of Michigan State fans who feel.
So are you looking forward to tomorrow when he addresses the Michigan rivalry? Someone's going to ask him, right? Like he's got to come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I hate these pomp and circumstance press conferences. They're like my least favorite thing about the job. I don't know if there's, other than like transcribing like 40,000 quotes, 40,000 inches of quotes, I should say. I think these press conferences and how they're set up, and I understand why they do them. I would do the same thing about Michigan State. I do not enjoy them. I felt all of Fred Human. Yeah,
I can understand that. What time is it tomorrow?
3:00.
Nice. Sparty Barb, number 1. Shout out to MSU women's soccer on a great year. Tough loss in Palo Alto, but this team has a great future. 2, the Pat Fitzgerald hire would be more exciting if MSU is also announcing a significant increase to football NIL contributions. None of this will work without money for high-level talent. 3, the performance against North Carolina and Fort Myers was an Izzo masterclass in tenacity. This MSU team is competing for the Big Ten title. Bonus, MSU basketball beats Iowa by 15 and Duke by 10. Go Green. Go God.
Let's go Green. Go God.
If Michigan State beats Iowa by 15 and Duke by 10, this podcast, people are going to explode here. It'll be an incredible
I'm bringing
Monday
in an
show.
Izzo bobblehead in studio. We're smoking a joint.
Especially, I forgot the Lions are Thursday night this week, so that'll be a part of our Friday show. Your mood and how that goes, and all that.
I'm already preparing for
Let's take one last break. Come back and finish up.
I might need some off.
Oh, sorry.
All right, I got you. Go ahead.
All right, let's take one last break and finish up these takes. Our Monday night show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, our Monday night show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Go muskox.com and Peacock for $15 off your flannel purchase. Look your best, feel your best. This is the time of year to just live in a great flannel, as I do in many of my Muskox flannels. Go muskox.com.
Will you be wearing one tomorrow at the presser?
100%.
All right.
Yeah.
King Lion, number one, it's how the Lions lost. That's the issue. We got Yeti slapped on 4th down. They beat us at our own game. And the sad reality is we can have our views on the window, but this is a wasted year regardless. Now it's basketball season. Pistons look great, and MSU versus Michigan is going to be epic.
Pistons do look great.
They do look great.
That's a fun story. And
shout out JB Bickerstaff.
Yes.
You know, thank you, Pistons, for saving the season, too.
And MSU, Michigan, and basketball and hockey, just both those, it's fun. It's the hockey and basketball rivalries I enjoy so much more than the football rivalry because you don't have the same buildup of angst and you don't have the consequences of it. There is nothing. You can talk smack, but what does that mean? Next year is a different year. Like you did nothing to really have a one-up. It just makes. I'm not saying they're not intense and fun, and there's gratification when you beat your rival, but it's just a healthier place to be than football.
Dave Berwaldi next. The best thing I heard so far is that Fitzgerald should unlock donor money. Without the dough, we'll continue to be relegated to irrelevance.
Yep. So much of it now is about, and he talked about that in that podcast again that I've referenced about how, you start at zero with the rev share money. Everybody's got that. It's what you do beyond that separates you.
Frank Vanster, whatever that name is. Coach Adamas strikes again by predicting the Fitzgerald hire. When you found out, were you wearing pants?
When I put that in there, it wasn't like I hadn't already heard his name as one possibility.
Right.
When I put that in the predictions.
You called
column.
it a while ago.
Yeah, I thought it was a possibility.
Don't be humble now. Come on. You were blowing yourself last night on Twitter. Just keep doing it on the show. It's fun. Just busting your balls. Listen, man, when you get something right, though, hey, it's important. I like how you're humble on the podcast, but on Twitter, you're just firing out while on a toilet.
Twitter, I also had all sorts of chemicals going through me yesterday. Who knows what it was?
You did?
Because you have to take when you do this, you'll see you get these. You have to drink this prep, this colonoscopy prep.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun stuff. It doesn't taste great, and you have to drink basically the amount of 8 ounces of it 4 times over the course of an hour. Then you have to do it again later. And
if you didn't do it, would they be able to tell?
Yes, and they send you
right
home.
away.
They send you home. Yeah,
they said that.
Yeah, in fact, the nurse.
If you drink half of it, would they know?
One of the nurses came in and said, because I was the second scheduled one this morning.
You got any logs up there, guy? Was this what she said?
No, but she said it'll either be 5 minutes or half an hour because sometimes you get in there and somebody didn't do the prep properly and that's it. They just said you can't do it. Yeah,
pull that thing right out.
That'd be embarrassing. Go through the whole.
You wake up and you're like,
"What? I got to do this."
You didn't drink that whole thing, did you? Oh, man. Now I got to drink the whole thing. Zabrowska Spartan next. Graham, how much was the cost of the deep clean on your house after it was confirmed State was hiring Fitzgerald? Oh, shit. I think the hire makes a lot of sense, but it's only going to work if there's a genuine donor support and goodwill from the fans. I want to believe, but he has to deliver.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly he delivers and to what extent and what it looks like in year one and how people feel about that. The good news for him, and I think even for fans who are craving something but also need some stability, is this: they're not going to do another 2 years cycling out. Like they need to get this right, and this is the guy that's been chosen by the current administration and by current donor types want this. Like this, you either get this right or you got big problems long term, and you stick with this long enough to get it right.
Pete Duran next. This was the most disinterested I've ever been during a college football season since I was 6 years old. I'm sure MSU sucking is a large part of that, but just never fell in love with any of the stories around the sport this year. Sure, I'm not the only one. Wonder why that is.
I think a lot of people are less interested.
Dude,
now,
Pete's not lying. It's my interest level is like I said before on the show, is like I'm going to watch the college football playoff games. I'm excited for that, but this regular season, I don't know.
I think college football has a little bit of a problem with that. I think it's an NBA type issue where the discourse around it, a lot of people still listening to podcasts and national stuff, and they're interested, but the actual games are less in the regular season, less important and less must-see TV.
Like watching all of the games.
Correct, until the playoffs. Like the NBA. I watch, other than the Pistons, I'll have an NBA game on in the background late if I'm working, but like I watch very little NBA, but I watch everything in the playoffs. I love the playoffs. But I listen to a lot of NBA podcasts and other things, and it's just the way I digest the NBA is the way I think college basketball is going to be careful not to be headed, because a lot of these network deals and stuff like that, and I get that it's worked for the NBA and they've just gotten a huge amount of money, and live sports are still where things are. But I think Chris Solari's calling me. I'll call him back later.
Answer it live.
Do it live? Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that.
Graham.
But yeah, I think college football's got to be careful. You got to make sure your regular season matters and people want to be interested in it. And to do that, you probably have to get the contracts and people somehow liking the regular season, liking what's going on a little more.
Donnie Ferraro next. Don't hate the Fitzgerald hire at all. While there are undoubtedly some areas of concern, he was able to do a lot with less at Northwestern. While the same could be said about Jonathan Smith at Oregon State, Fitz is a much better cultural fit and has Big Ten Midwest ties. He will meet the fans where they are, like Coach D, which will at least buy him some extra time if needed. Most importantly, it sounds like he will have some major financial backing from donors.
Yeah, you got to meeting people where they are matters. And look, Coach, he's not my coach, but Mark D'Antonio.
Coach Fitz.
Mark D'Antonio had many detractors who are even part of this podcast at the end. Like, there was a lot of frustration with his offense and lack of changing staff, an imperfect coach, especially at the end. And there are, signs that, previously Pat Fitzgerald's offenses have not always been a whole lot of fun. And so, he'll have to, there might be some frustration with him. Who knows? We'll see who he hires. I mean, we don't have any idea what his staff is yet, and I think that will be somewhat telling.
Sparty Party next. I'd rather be the gay guy at the bottom of the stairs or the crusty sock below Chad Latt's bed when you two this week with all the hot takes about to roll in. Godspeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
this whole thing was Jesus. Wait, this whole thing was put together wrong by you.
That's my bad. Yeah, Sparty Party, we appreciate you. He was basically saying, it is a long show. This is our longest. I wanted
really
to get everybody here. It is
warm. Legit hot in here.
Yeah, but in a muskox flannel, I'm still pretty comfortable. I mean, it's warm. That's the thing. One of the best things about a muskox is when you walk into a house party where it's a little warm and it was cold outside, it adjusts with you. Like, you don't need to, oh my God, I got to take this off. We all have those shirts where you're like, it's just, you can get hot, you can get and it's just never going to feel that way.
How many house parties you been to?
Quite a few over the course of time.
Oh, that's right. You live in that weird neighborhood where you guys just walk into each other's houses and play games and stuff.
We would like Pat Fitzgerald to live in our neighborhood, by the way, too.
Oh, I'm sure.
No more White Hills. None of that bullshit.
Pudgy Creature next. I think Fitzgerald will give the program consistency for the foreseeable future, which will be nice. I think lots of people are going to bash MSU, but I personally think it's a fine hire. People want splashy hires. I just want a tough guy head coach that won't embarrass us.
I believe Fitzgerald does that. Not necessarily the end game for MSU, but maybe a 5 to 6 year plan to just build and keep us relevant as the NIL world is figured out. I think the expectations are generally too high for MSU. We were spoiled by D'Antonio.
People want those years back, and it's again, we talked about Iowa earlier and how they don't have that team sort of, staring down at them and having Michigan be where they've been. And we'll see where Michigan is. I think this is Michigan's, we'll see what happens with Sharon Moore here and what where that program goes. But having Michigan at the top the last few years has made this a lot worse for MSU.
Alex Brandon next. By my math, the last 4 years of MSU football was the worst 4-year span since the 1980 through 83 seasons. Smith had to go. Even new coaches in that time frame were getting to 6 wins. At this point, even if Fitz is a C- higher, we needed a change.
They definitely needed a change. I think that was what had become clear.
But is that a good mentality to have? Like, you're just bringing a C- higher. No. Like, I know you have an opportunity to make a hire that could change the program for a decade to come here.
Because Smith could have been, you can get a C- out of Smith. You didn't need the idea behind Fitzgerald is you're hiring a guy who's going to be an A coach for you. That's the idea. I mean, you don't make this hire if you don't think it's going to be the right hire for your program to get your program where you want to be and be competitive. You're not doing it for just stability or just to be somewhat competitive again.
Beppe Plum, seeing the Maryland win, I guarantee you that Smith will never lose another game at MSU. I feel bad for the dude, though.
I do actually feel a little bad for Jonathan Smith. Not bad, because he got 30-some million and he gets it. He understands it. But I do.
I felt bad that he had to answer the question after the Maryland game, though. Of just has anyone told you anything? He's like, I have no idea.
I just felt more bad that he probably thinks he could have done this if he actually had the support he needed. He probably thinks that, and he probably will never know if he could have gotten it done. No. I don't know if he could have or not, but he didn't have the support.
Nick Foster, number one, think Fitzgerald is a great fit, but will he get more financial support than Smith? Only way I see this being successful, the way Spartan fans view success for the football program. And 2, Spartan basketball is looking great. If they go 2-0 this week, they'll be top 4 next week.
For sure. They beat Duke? Yeah, no, for sure. That would be something that would really elevate them.
Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns.
And the thing is,
remember Pete Gillen?
Is that what he used to say?
Yeah. Jim Rome used to play. Sorry, this is getting late.
No, you're good.
Saying shit.
And if Michigan State gets through this week, if they were to get undefeated, even if they have a good week and go 1-1, what comes after this week? They get a week off. Then they play, Penn State team they ought to beat on the road. Then a couple mid majors. It's a really good place. You probably go into January in a great spot if you can do this week right.
Fear Spartans next. I'm not sure there was a home run hire outside of Franklin this cycle for MSU, but how well will hiring someone who can't bring his own players in this era will translate in year 1 and 2? See Belichick. Bonus, would be interested in Graham's take on the Players Era tournament.
Did you watch any of that Players Era college basketball tournament in Vegas over Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay.
I did not.
Yeah. I don't. So I am sad that certain things like the Maui Invitational, and this is not just because I get to go to Maui once every 5 years or whatever. The Maui Invitational, in terms of a tournament that I enjoy watching, whether I'm there or not, I think is one of the great classic, long-term, historic, traditional college basketball tournaments. And they always had a great field. And, you're playing 3 games in 3 days, and you don't know who you're playing. I really enjoyed it. I understand why coaches don't love it. I don't think Michigan State's going back either way. And because part of the challenge is it takes a lot out of you traveling all the way out there. 3 games in 3 days. You got to do a lot of prep for a lot of different teams, because you don't know who you're playing. And some people can say it prepares you for the postseason. I don't think they want it yet. They prefer to know who they're going to play or do something with 2 games like you saw in Fort Myers. The Players Era thing, I get that's where we're going with NIL and all that stuff. I didn't love the reports of media members being paid or having their hotels comped and things like that. I don't know how true that was to say nice things about it. It has no tradition. To be honest, I didn't watch any of it. So there's that too. But I don't know.
Sounds awesome.
I'm not against it. I don't really love this.
Was there a monetary, was there the players getting paid if they won this thing?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Michigan won it. Yeah, and they won a lot of money.
Oh, shit. Okay. Spartan fan in Toledo next. I wanted Smith to work out, but his public speaking drove me crazy. He always referred to MSU as this place, and this thing was another favorite he often used. Couch mentioned his lack of communication skills in his column. Did he notice that too?
Yes, for a long time. I mean, it was I enjoyed his sometimes
this thing. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, he would say that all the time. We got to get this thing going. Yeah, I enjoyed his Yoda like I would transcribe quotes and I would look at them written down and it would be very Yoda form. But yeah, it was frustrating. And I think it was frustrating for me because I'm somebody who has a lot of weaknesses in life, but that part of it isn't one of them. And I enjoy people who can communicate well and coaches who can.
But you both do Yoda impressions.
But we
Jason,
don't.
do you think that Bill Beekman?
That was when Couch was put on the spot to do fucking Yoda, and he just yelled Bill Beekman's name at the end for no reason. Oh, man, this show's the best. Sparty guy. Fitz is a great hire. He is the new president and AD's guy. With them and Izzo rolling in the same direction, it's exciting. He's a passionate coach, very well respected, 2 decades of experience. Had a sabbatical where he spent learning from other programs. End of story. Well done.
Well, I mean, the story now is to be written at Michigan State. It's not the end of the story. In terms of why he's enticing, some of that is there. But now it's the hard part.
Can I ask about this sabbatical? Like, did he go do ayahuasca and, like, study NIL? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, no, I think he talked to a lot of coaches and a lot of programs about and tried to figure out how they were doing it. Like, one of the things he brought up is he looked at all the number of transfers in programs that were struggling. And the number 40 seemed to be something that was too much. Like if you had more than 40 transfers in your program, you weren't doing well. You lose your culture, you lose something. So you want to have a lot of transfers, but there is a line you don't want to cross, right? And so it's sort of studying those things as you're starting to think about how you would build your own program this year, things he probably wouldn't have done otherwise. I think that's
So
helpful.
he went to like NIL school.
Essentially, that was the
That's
idea.
what we're calling the sabbatical.
Yeah.
Aaron Luneke next. Number 1, haven't paid attention to games on a regular basis since before Tucker used a telephone with one of his hands. Haven't cared. Hard to with annual roster movement and being pretty terrible on a consistent basis. This hire does little for me, and I hope I'm wrong. 2, the Lions fans need to chill. The whole Ben Johnson was the key to the Lions' success thing is wild. The Lions have missed Ragnow more than they ever have Ben Johnson. Is he a good coach? So far. It's been 12 games with a last place schedule. Maybe let something play out before reacting immediately. Aaron, you don't have Bears fans in your house or friends that are Bears fans and they're in first place with the guy that was here last year. Like to say that it's wild to say that the Lions, Ben Johnson was the key to the Lions' success. I think it's wild that you said that because it is. He's one of the reasons why, right? You have to give him credit what he's doing in Chicago, schedule or not. The culture there is great and he's got a good team. I mean, you can't, I don't know. I hate it. Despise it. All right. Anyway, Couch on fire. Not a big fan of the Fitz hire, C grade, he says. But if he brings in Bulla as defensive coordinator, I'll feel a little better. Well, Couch on fire, Graham said it's happening.
I did not say it.
Earlier in the show. Bonus. Really worried this morning that Jason's inner Lions fan is starting to die again. This franchise still seems to do nothing but tease us and never deliver.
You're a long way from dead inside. Right?
I just said at the beginning of the show, I said I've had enough MGs where it's dead inside Jason Lions fan came out and said, hey man, that's it. That's where I'm at right now. No, it's not. I want to believe in this season.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me an honest answer how I feel right now, this team is not making the playoffs. I hope they prove me wrong. It stinks. Lions reply guy. Do you think it's more likely the Lions win on Thursday in a blowout or lose Thursday in a blowout? If I had to pick between the two.
It's a home game, right?
Yeah.
The win, right?
In a blowout? He's asking if they win in a blowout.
They're not getting blown out at home.
I would hope not. But if I had to pick, I don't see the Lions blowing Dallas out the way that Dallas is playing right now. I don't see a blowout. So if I had to pick out of the two, I want to answer this question. So I hate it. I hate life. That's the answer. G.E. Miller, hate this hire. 4-20 in the final 2 years at Northwestern. Fired in disgrace with a horrific culture. That's bad. Even worse, he brings 0 recruits or players, 0 coaches with him. Opposite of Cignetti, there's 0 momentum. This is a Belichick hire. Money will need to be Ohio State level or he's dead on arrival.
Wow. A lot of negativity towards Fitzgerald. I did not anticipate this level of. I thought there'd be a lot of so-so or kind of the way you feel.
Graham, you called it.
I didn't think it was going to be back.
Good job, Graham. Hope you're living well.
In the Slack channel at The Athletic. There's not all that much backslapping, but like what?
Oh,
sorry, little. Anyway,
shots fired.
Yeah. No, anyway, I've just heard that's what might happen in the Slack channels at The Athletic from people who work at The Athletic. Some of whom we got on this show. But I did think that, I thought there'd be all sorts of feelings about him, but I didn't know that there would be this many people who were this out this early. And obviously, I think he'll have a better chance of changing minds because, again, I think he's a better communicator, at least, or changing anticipation for him. But there's a little more negativity than I anticipated. I thought more people would feel like you, like that there were other candidates that were probably more intriguing to you, but you're sort of wait and see.
I think tomorrow at 3:00 things will change, though.
Okay.
I think people will see the presser and maybe change their mind. Ben Jen, I'm glad Smith is gone, but I have zero excitement for Fitz. Tell me what players he kept, which ones he got, and show me 7 wins next year, and then my excitement meter will be above zip. Wow, above zip.
Yeah, I can't do that for you.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, man. Sorry, Benjamin. Sunshine Spartan, number 1, the Lions will not make the playoffs. 2, if Pat Fitzgerald is the choice, well done. The previous AD would have fired and waited 6 weeks to start interviewing someone. Sorry, Graham. Alan Haller set back the football team 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know that he did.
Stick up for your boy, man.
Yeah, he didn't make the hire that worked, and there's no doubt about it. But I think a lot of people thought it was a good hire at the time, including myself, and a lot of people who have since turned against him. Sometimes you make what looks like a smart hire and it doesn't work out. Now, were there signs that Alan Haller should have seen with him? Maybe. I mean, I think if I'm doing that interview, I would have been a little concerned about the speaking part of things, but that's just me. And I would probably hire the greatest speaker and worst coach all the time.
If you and I listened in, right, to Jonathan Smith, if we interviewed him and we walked out of the room, like, did he say, "Oh shucks"? Like, dude, for real? I mean, right? Like, I just would have been like, "There's no way this is going to work."
And sometimes you have to I've interviewed people for jobs before when I was a sports editor and I was a really young guy.
Let's see your Twitter.
And but Twitter did not exist, thankfully, or I would not have made it at all because Lord knows what I would have written. But because sometimes I still get those Facebook, I don't know if it was tied to Twitter or just Facebook memories pop up. And there's things I put on Facebook apparently at one point. Yeah. Humiliating. Like, I was a moron just 15 years ago. And I was 30.
Dude, don't even talk about MySpace. I'm so glad that thing is fired off the planet.
What's the worst thing you ever put on MySpace?
I don't know. I just know I had bedazzled, I had music and things were playing, and I had a top 5 friend list. It was douche beyond douche. And
yeah,
I even got douche on Facebook in 08 or 07. I mean, that's why I had to get rid of Facebook because like you said, they would give you these memories. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that. That is a story worth telling, presented by our friends, of course, at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. A date to put on your calendar. If you're looking for a fun night out as Christmas starts to approach, December 20th, live music, the music of DeWitt's own Gwen Doffler, acoustic easy listening, get you into the spirit. Live music specials, $2 off, build your own burger, $3 16-ounce pours on Shorts Local Light, Yingling, traditional lager, PBR, and Miller Lite. 7 to 9 p.m. That's at Midtown Brewing Company on December 20th.
Who's playing?
Downtown Lansing. Gwen Doffler.
Yeah. MCV, MSU fans are living up to the reputation of being whiners and being the aggrieved, all while the football program is the college football equivalent of a porta potty filled with hot dog water. Interesting. Man up and support your new coach or continue to torture yourselves on Saturdays.
I think people will support. People will come around. I think people are just skeptical, and it's okay to have that. People should feel how they feel. And
does he have to win this press conference tomorrow?
No, he didn't have to. He just had to win games.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Nobody ever has to win the press conference anymore. There's just so much more to that.
I've always wanted to say that.
Somebody will write that dumbass column. It's like writing about Tarek Skubal losing on opening day and not being able to win the Cy Young. There is a point where you just have to step back. Yeah, there you go.
Dave Lakin, number 1, when Pat Fitzgerald was coaching Northwestern, I was always impressed with how their football team performed against bigger schools with more resources. If J-Bat comes up with the resources, the Spartans will be competitive in the Big Ten in 2 years, nationally in 3. 2,
You know the refs are against you when on one play, the Lions are penalized for having 12 men on the field before the ball was snapped. And then on the next play, Green Bay gets a timeout after the snap was snapped, and they would have been penalized for illegal motion. The refs suck. But when you're playing bad, it's hard to blame the refs. But that call with LaFleur and the touchdown with Wicks, I mean, I don't know how that was.
And it could have changed the game, right? So
well, the problem I had with giving Wicks the touchdown after they thought he bobbled it is that the referees confirmed it within 12 seconds when they normally look at these plays for 5 to 10 minutes. You need to go under the hood and look at it before you just come back out and go, nah, it's a touchdown. We get fucked every time. Graham Carpenter, number 1, what do you think Pat Fitzgerald can do at Michigan State with real resources and support behind him that he can never do at Northwestern? And how quickly do you see that paying off? And 2, if Fitzgerald brings in a strong staff and uses the portal aggressively, is it fair to expect MSU to take a real step forward as soon as next season? Or should fans look at this as a 2-year rebuild?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think in this day and age, you can do things relatively quickly. He doesn't have a roster to bring with him, obviously. It'll be interesting to see who he retains on this current roster. I do think there are some promising players. That will be part of who they can be next year. But they need to go out and there needs to be money to spend on legitimate D tackles, guys who they need to buy some difference makers and spend on some difference makers and make the right decisions with those guys. And I don't know what to expect. I don't know how much time is fair anymore. I've really lost a sense of that. And if I had it, I would better be able to judge, Jonathan Smith or Pat Fitzgerald early on. And I think this stuff is really hard now. And it was always hard, but it's you got to recruit your own staff, or your own players, you got to bring in other guys, and you've got to convince people, that your place is the place to be when you don't have a lot of success to draw from, so you're going to have to overpay. I think it's a hard job. But he talked a big game in that, and I think he'll talk a big game on Tuesday at 3:00. I'm very curious to see what he does, and I just don't think it's a bad hire. I think it's an intriguing hire. Will it work? I have no idea.
Dang it, Bobby. Next. Number 1, those who are focusing on Fitzgerald's last couple seasons at Northwestern are ignoring his overall record. 5 9+ win seasons there is impressive. And 2, MSU should do what it takes to keep Alessio. He could be our 2007 Brian Hoyer next season.
I mean, you definitely want. I mean, you can go out and get a different quarterback, maybe just as good, but you've got a guy I think who has promise right in the building. That would be my focus if I were them.
Kermit the Spartan, the Pat Fitzgerald hire feels like a good move in attempting hiring the right coach rather than hiring the most attractive numbers. I've always liked Fitz when he was at Northwestern. I'm intrigued to see what Fitz can do at a larger program with strong donor support.
Yeah, I think this is the way a lot of people feel too. I think people are all over the place. We have had more negativity, though, Jason, than I anticipated.
So 9 wins Northwestern, so you're expecting if he can do it there, what do we expect?
It's a higher
11 wins.
Yeah, it's a higher ceiling. It's easier to sustain at MSU, 100%. Right.
MSU Stan, how does Fitzgerald's track record at Northwestern translate to MSU's current roster and recruiting situation? And what should be the bar for judging his first season in East Lansing?
Yeah, and to the previous point, too, I think part of that, though, is the world has completely changed. What he did at Northwestern previously is, not how you build a program exactly anymore. I think there are levels of experience that do help. But, yeah, in terms of, what should be the bar for judging his first season, I think what we wanted for Jonathan Smith, I think you wanted competence. Remember that Iowa game and feeling like, wow, they found something. This is a really good performance coming off a bye against a decent team, and they beat Iowa, and then things fell apart. You want a team that you just want competence in games. You want a team that finishes games as well as they possibly can. You want a program that shows some promise. And you want some young players to think good things about. And I think if you can get to a bowl game where Michigan State hasn't been for a long time, I understand bowl games don't mean much anymore. I think it would mean something to MSU.
But isn't Fitzgerald's staff the bigger hire than Fitzgerald himself almost?
It's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just matters who he brings in to get
100%.
This ground running.
Yes.
Right?
That's a big part.
Need players fast. Izzo's no longer got to go. Now that that's settled, can we talk about the formula for MSU getting to 10 wins every few years? Cupcake out of conference schedule, forgiving Big Ten schedule, i.e. miss Ohio State and Oregon and go 6-2. MSU has the resources to do that every 3-ish years. Go do it, Fitz.
Yeah, I don't like the cupcake out of conference schedule. I know some team, it's worked at Indiana. We go through the beginning of the season. If it's Youngstown State 3 games in a row, that freaking sucks, man.
I'll take it.
Yeah, nah, don't do it.
Yep.
Don't do it.
Build some momentum.
Have some character.
It's legal.
Don't do it.
Well, you don't want to play Youngstown State 3 times.
But that's what
You can't
Indiana
do
did.
that.
Indiana freaking played Youngstown State 3 times this year.
Why are you yelling?
I don't know. That bothers me because everything else about Cignetti's done has been so amazing. He doesn't need to do that. Now, that said, he's got a healthier team later, and maybe that's the way to go. I don't know.
Alex Mayer, something about this MSU basketball team just feels special. That said, the top of the Big Ten is a nightmare, and I honestly have no idea who comes out on top. Today, I'm not even saying words anymore. Tuesday's game is huge to not look past with Duke coming up, and from Mark V. Smith, Fitzgerald, Duke. But Iowa's 7-0 and has a new coach and wins over 3 NCAA tournament teams, to include Ole Miss. Sparty will be their big game. Watch out on Tuesday.
Iowa's a dangerous opponent. I really do think that I like this Iowa team a lot. I like the coach. I think they made a good hire, and he brought in guys with him that are going to make a difference.
Scott Yu, Izzo and company did an amazing job landing Fears. Through 7 games, I get why Izzo stuck with him through the injury, and he is the best passer in the league. Bonus, Iowa is going to be tough. Let's get the win there before we focus on Duke.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. All right, Mark V. I see lots of people gnashing their teeth and tearing their hair over Fitzgerald not bringing players with him. Smith brought in 12 transfers and recruits from the Beavers. How did that work out?
Yeah, he did bring his quarterback and his tight end who played well late, finally, although for most of his career.
12 is better than 0.
Yeah.
No,
there is some advantage to that, but I don't think that, again, you're not making this hire for next year. You're making this hire for the next 5 years and what you want the program to be. And if you think Pat Fitzgerald's the guy to do that, then you make the hire.
Bill Pepper Jr. III. Number 1, honestly, not even a hot take, but it seems incredibly obvious that Childs faked an injury to end the season. Can you confirm or deny this? And 2, the Pistons are going to make it to the finals.
That would do wonders for the show in the spring if the Pistons are on a run to the finals. I cannot confirm or deny that. I don't. I'm sure there's some pride that was faked.
Just nod your head.
I don't know what degree there's a legitimate injury, but I don't want to accuse him of that.
Jay Riemenschneider, this will be the best winter season ever in the MSU-Michigan rivalry when taking into account the potential of men's basketball, women's basketball, and hockey.
It should be fun. I think, football for both programs is sort of behind them now, or at least not. There's a lot going on, but I'm just saying in terms of the games. And, football stirs the soul, we always say, but both basketball programs, men's basketball programs should be at the very top. Women's basketball programs look very good. And the hockey programs are 2 of the best teams in the country. It has a chance to be an unbelievable winter.
Spartan Johnny next. Number 1, I'm concerned how many times Graham is going to reference the Edmund Fitzgerald over the coming years as we watch the next era of MSU football. I'll set the over-under at 2.
That's not too many.
Yeah. No. 2, my Bills are back. They aren't actually. They still can't complete a pass over 10 yards to a receiver, and Josh Allen seems to have lost some fire due to all the relations he's having with Haley Steinfeld. But the overall message here is, God, the Steelers are ass.
This is why the Lions have a chance to keep winning. They got the Steelers on the schedule. The Steelers are not good.
Because he's laying on top of Haley Steinfeld, it means he's having what? He's losing all of his gumption.
Mojo.
Clint One Ball Bainey. Number 1, I've picked the Spartan football head coach before being announced, going back to George Perlis. Long before the internet, so suck on that. Fired up to have Fitz leading our team. What's he bragging about?
So I think he picked
before the internet.
He picks Fitzgerald. Yeah, he
2, MSU beats Duke by 3 on Saturday. And 3, who is the donor giving us the big rumored donation?
Yeah, I know who it is. I just can't give it to you.
James Hayos.
But it's not Hayos. I would just say it's
Pound the bushes.
It's think of the logical names, but don't think of Bradley Beal's.
Gilbert.
Nope, didn't say that. Nope. Just think of who's doing a lot of the money right now.
Magic.
Think about who's really doing a lot of the money right now. Okay. Think about the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll help. Just think about that.
Art Rooney?
Okay.
Ghost of George Perlis. Lions remind me of the 2016-19 MSU football teams. The right scheme, but the wrong dudes up front. Hutch hasn't lived up to the contract, but doesn't have help either. Brad Holmes sees what we all see, realizing several players don't pass the eye test. Roster churn ahead and regroup for next year. We go 3-2 over the next 5 games. I'm too exhausted to argue with it. Kevin from dry mouth here. Kevin from Rochester Hills, number 1, same old Lions is back. 2, Jonathan Smith was better than John L. And 3, MSU will never have another losing season.
Jonathan Smith
was not better than John L. though. Right?
The peak. John L. had some moments that were better than Jonathan Smith. Yeah.
Right.
No, that's the. I mean,
and he could win a press conference.
Yeah. Now he did shit on the LSJ and
well,
called the Daily Bugle, and he wouldn't answer questions from the LSJ, so it was a little more contentious. But he won more too.
What a legend. Josh Inwood. What's great about sports is there is rarely ambiguity. At the end of the day, you have a record, and in 3 years, we will all know if Fitz is working out. Until then, let's upgrade Spartan Stadium, figure out how to restore federal funding cuts to the research mission, and get Izzo a second natty.
There you go. Good perspective from Josh. Appreciate you.
Hans Jurgen. Number 1, Fitzgerald will not tolerate Graham killing gay people. I had to let that one sit.
Should have read that.
2.
Should have double-checked it.
Is that going to be mentioned tomorrow at 3? 2, he will catch the fear shooter if it's the last thing he ever does. Dues? Why'd you put dues on it? You're trying to kill me.
I clearly didn't edit Hans. I'm sorry. Yeah.
3, he will release the Bulla Rose Bowl suspension files. And bonus, I will give Smith this. Of all the worst MSU football teams, this year's team was the best.
There you go. It was not, well, no, it was not an enjoyable team for a lot of people. Though. I don't even know what that means. The worst teams, it was the best of the worst. Well done, Hans.
Jake Hawkins, number 1, I am 50-50 split on Pat Fitzgerald hire, so we could go either way. So I have saved judgment and takes for next season. I'll say this, though, to MSU leadership. Get your shit together. This is the 3rd football coach in the last 5 years. It shouldn't happen at a Big Ten school that's top 25 in attendance, revenue, and alumni. And 2, congratulations to the DeWitt Panthers on an outstanding 14-0 football season that led to a Division III football state championship.
A lot of football.
But they won't be able to celebrate it properly since they won it yesterday. No more college games at Ford Field Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, it sucks they do it on a Sunday. And you go to school Monday. It's still kind of cool. Look, MSU shouldn't get out of the way. And also it sucks for DeWitt. Like, I'm just looking at our homepage today at the LSJ. Like, they win a state title, and it's all about Jonathan Smith and Pat Fitzgerald. It sucks. That's it.
Maybe John L. Smith was right.
As Jake Hawkins said, get your shit together.
Yeah. LSJ. Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Number 1, nobody knows nothing on how a coach will turn out 2 to 3 years from now. Too many variables. Just shut your yaps and sit back and enjoy the ride. And 2, doesn't make for a great podcast, though. 2, becoming a hermit gets better sounding each and every day.
We need you, Upper Deck Jerk Guy, though. You can't disappear entirely. You gotta at least share your wisdom.
Well, you can be a hermit and still, contact the show.
That's true. We can reach you through any means necessary. So we appreciate all of you guys. Upper Deck Jerk Guy, Eric Schultz, Dominic, everybody down through, Jake, everybody. I mean, you guys. This might have been our longest show. I'll actually have to look, but there was a lot to talk about, and it was interesting. A lot of interesting feelings on all over the place on Pat Fitzgerald and what's going on with Michigan State football. Of course, we'll be here back to talk about it Wednesday after the Pat Fitzgerald press conference, after the game Tuesday night against Iowa, and then we'll be here Friday when Jason's, after the Lions Thursday. A lot of interesting stuff this week here on the show. We appreciate all of you, of course. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Go to Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, 402 South Washington Avenue. Great place for a date night or any occasion. We appreciate Muskox Flannels. Go Muskox.com. Peacock for $15 off. Great Christmas dip. Good show, man.
Yeah,
Good
man.
work. Cut to the roof.